mindset. Ay, back with a vengeance, back on the grinds, back to the business. Ay, God is my witness, they watching my moves like shows they binging. Ay, best keep distance, all of my haters send best of wishes. I get to the bag with the quickness, no I don't need no assistance, no. Yeah, no playing it safe, I said let's get it, you say not today. What can I say, you ain't gon' go for it, get out the way. Yeah, got no time to waste, can't be with me if you're not at my pace. You're not at my level, you're not in my race. One foot on the gas, I'm catching the brakes. Dancing with the devil, there's no recital. I'm killing competition, ain't no revival. I shoot it to kill it, I'm aiming for vitals. I'm showing no mercy when facing my rivals. Snakes in the grass, they getting exposed. I know they be lurking, I'm watching them close. Acting like friends, but really they foes. Saw they be scheming and said adios. Don't mindset. I gotta get it, don't mindset. I gotta get it, don't mindset.
We're almost done with the 2023 BMW M SIM Cup, and 2 races in the month of November will settle it all. Welcome to the brand new circuit Zandvoort, here available on iRacing as we get ready for the penultimate round of the multi-class madness. It's Arjuna Kanki Party once again alongside Lewis McLeod as we welcome you to RaceSpotTV and to the iRacing esports network in what is a busy day not just for the drivers but for us commentators as well. Lewis, welcome to Zandvoort though. You've been here earlier this year, I believe. It looks wonderful here in the sim.
Yeah, no, I will say it's a place that I'd rather go racing in the sim than in person. It was very cold when I went here, like very, very, very cold, and I'm British, so I'm good at complaining. But no, obviously fantastic to have the venue here at iRacing, and I'm sure we're in for what can only be classified as an interesting race here, Arjuna, as I think this is going to be a little chaotic.
Just a little chaotic, of course. Let's take a look at the schedule, though, because for so long, this was a TBD round on the schedule. Drivers weren't exactly sure where they go racing. And of course, with this brand new scan, it's going to be quite interesting to see how it's all going to go. Suzuka, though, comes up to close out the season. And, well, Lewis, you and I, we've commentated on our fair share of drama there over the years.
Yeah, remember Josh Rogers, Max Verstappen making contact. That was probably the big bit of drama that we had. But it's a great track to end the season. Again, tight, twisty, kind of in a sense when it comes to how multi-class is around that. It probably won't actually be too dissimilar to what we have here at Zandvoort, where it's going to be awkward. Staying out of trouble over the next 2 rounds is going to be the key part of taking home the championship and taking home the money with it.
Like you say, the championship is what is on the line. A little bit different compared to previous years in this BMW sim racing competitions, where, of course, we always used to celebrate with the end-of-year BMW Sim Live. Instead, a total of almost $50,000 to be paid out across of our 10 different races. The drivers race, of course, in 2 driver teams, 1 mandatory pit stop requiring the driver change, of course, in the GT3s for the GTPs. 2 pit stops, only 1 driver change required there, but you score points individually, and that's where, Lewis, that bonus point for the fastest race lap is going to become quite an important talking point.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen it be dished out and already cause, I say problems, but definitely not. It's kind of helped a little bit in the championship. I mean, on the GT3 side, Chris Lullam's taken 2 fastest lap points. That's actually what's pushed him up to the championship lead. We'll see that in a second. It is really important because that's how you differentiate yourself from your teammate, is that fastest lap. So if you want to take home the top prize, well, that's how you do it.
And let's talk about the LMDH standings first very quickly, because after what was Urano domination at the start, it was the Williams Esports pair, Matt Farrow and Josh Ladd, that were able to grab the victory in the most recent round of the championship to leapfrog them up into the 5th and 6th positions, and even closer to Vlad Kimichev and Jonas Warmar. But currently 2 rounds to play. It is still the pair at the front, leading for Urano, Danny Lorenzo, Dominic Hoffman. That run tied on points, Lewis, crucially, without any fastest laps between the pair.
Yeah, so potentially they need to sort that one out today. But at the moment, we know that realistically, the Urano Esports squad, they are the favourites for the championship. Just generally between them, Williams have a very much an outside chance. They need a lot of luck. They'll probably get ruled out of that one today. Is what it is. Urano have been class of the field this season, and it's been a very impressive display from them. Maybe they'll end out the season in the same form.
We've been enjoying, of course, the LMDH, its first introduction into the BMW M SIM Cup, but the GT3s have been somewhat a staple of virtual BMW motorsport competition, and, well, currently, after missing the last couple of rounds, it's still Chris Lullam and Diogo Pinto that have a bit of a championship lead, but that's where those bonus points are starting to play a factor, and Lullam and Diogo Pinto had this clarified earlier in the week, Lewis. They are intending, they want to try and tie themselves up for the championship. It's all on Diogo Pinto, though, to get that fastest lap and ensure no one else steals it away from him.
Yeah, obviously a bit of disappointment for Lullam yesterday, so would like to bounce back with a victory, but you never know. Pinto getting the fastest lap and all this, who knows? They've not had a solid last couple of rounds. Were they there for the last couple? I wasn't here for the last one, but were they actually there? They just didn't score any points.
You're questioning my memory now, which is a goldfish at the best of times. I don't believe they were there. I'm going to go with it.
Committed. Absolutely committed. Either way, bouncing back. Let's see what they can do.
Absolutely. Further back as well, though, Urano, we saw them, of course, start the season off strong. Stop Redline from continuing their streak at Daytona. It was Luka Kita, Alexei Nesov that won there, but of course they've slightly had different fortunes over the last couple of rounds after Nesov missed 2 of the middle rounds of the season, but ultimately Apex BS competition. Plenty of these drivers in the mix, and quite curiously as well, with the IMSA Esports Global Championship just on the horizon, Lewis, for many of these drivers, I think the field that we have in store for us today is going to be slightly jumbled up.
It's going to be different. I was having a little bit of a discussion with Paul Smith before we went live about where this order is. Obviously, everyone's focused on Road Atlanta a little bit later on today. But still, we've actually got a surprisingly strong lineup, including a few names which I'm going to be talking about ad nauseum in this one for banter's sake. I think we've still got an absolute battle for the race victory in both categories. Like, it's not going to be just, Team Red on here, they're going to run away. No. We've got a proper fight on in both.
I think that is what we expect, and of course in the LMDH, it's going to be curious to see exactly who is going to show up to be counted at a track where we have very little to go off in terms of form books to play with. So here's a look at how provisional qualifying results have shaken on up in both, of course, the LMDH and the GT3 standings. There's, of course, Barney the flagman with a great view to the start. A 1:18.586 for Williams Esports Chill Blast, almost a quarter of a second quicker than the Williams Esports Mahler team. And then it's Dominic Hoffman in the number 90 for Urano alongside Marcus Solholm for the Apex Racing team. Back in GT3, Urano, Redline, and Apex. The big hitters have shown up at the front.
Yeah, of course, Redline haven't taken so many victories in the GT3 category, but the last round it was the Apex Racing team that took the win. They're starting this one at the moment from 4th, so we'll have to wait and see how that one shakes up. Whilst Urano have been so dominant in the LMDH category, in the GT3s, they've only won one round. That was right at the start of the season with Luka Kita and Alexei Nesov, so we'll have to wait and see how that one unfolds. We see the final few laps come across the line in quali.
This is Vlad Kimichev in the number 91 who jumps himself behind his Urano Esports teammate. So that's an important lap time for him. And in fact, that's the final lap time that we'll see onto the board. Quick laps here at Circuit Zandvoort. But Lewis, talk to us about the changes that we, of course, now have here in the sim. Of course, it's looking spectacular now. Lots more grandstands around the facility. But banking, that's what we have to talk about.
Yeah, of course. You've got the extra banking that's been brought in at T3. This one just here over the back end of the staff, which actually makes the paddock area really a nightmare to get into. So that's a real life problem. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with that in the sim. The banking at T3, the banking most notably going through Harry Lyondike at the final corner. So big bankings there. That's where that addition is happening. But everyone kind of thinks that's the only places where banking's really been added around here. It has been adjusted at various parts of the circuit. Turn 9's had more banking, turn 6, or rather 7 at Sheeblack's had more banking added to it. Even Tarzan at T1 has had more banking added to it. It's kind of just up the flow of the circuit. But it does mean that the heavy braking zones around here, then they're not so heavy anymore. You just kind of carry the speed through the corner. It's a much faster track than it used to be.
What are you kind of expecting when it comes to those traffic interactions, though? Because some of them are relatively high speed now.
Yeah, well, we know the speed differential between LMDH and GT3 is pretty severe. It's a large jump between them. I'm going to be honest, I see it causing a lot of problems around here. It's tight, it's twisty, it's tricky, and you've got to be brave. And even this backstretch from turn 3 up towards turn 7, it weaves all over the place. The racing line moves from one side, back over to the other, and then prepared for the braking zone at turn 7. It's not easy at the best of times. I'm sure it's going to cause a couple of hiccups.
The best thing as well is that we'll get a full formation lap for these drivers to build up some temperature into their tyres. Plenty of time for us to work our way through the starting grid for the penultimate round of the 2023 BMW M SIM Cup. How time flies! It's just Zandvoort and Suzuka left for the drivers. Jaden Munoz and Matt Farrow will lead away for the Williams Esports team, the number 1 and the number 11. Almost a quarter of a second between them. In front of Dominic Hoffman for Urano Esports in the number 90, alongside of Marcus Solholm for the Apex Racing team. It's another of the red and black contingent. Vlad Kimichev in the 91. The Urano Esports Data Group car has Christian Hildegard in the Satellite Racing number 64, while rolling from back in 7th spot, it will be Sasha Gorla for the Movano Sim Racing team. Fraser Williamson will be alongside in the second Movano entry, while RD Simspot and Valorous make up the rest of your top 10. It will be TPS Gentlemen's Club Pro alongside the Still Rise Esports on the 6th row of the grid, and then Turtle Sim Racing, Team Red X Simsport and TPS Gentlemen's Club, a second of their entries, round out the 15 car LMDH field. They'll have to work their way through the GT3s, and well, at the front of that class, it's Sam Coitert in the Urano Esports HP number 190. It's a 131.816, almost a 10th clear of Diogo Pinto in the Team Redline number 20, while Gianni Vecchio will be in the 71, trying to work his way on forward. Jimmy Antunes, and then Alexander Thieba and Kira Wolf for Apex, Urano, and Drago Racing make up the rest of the front 3 rows. 7th for Hardcore Red and Jonas Lins. 8th for Milos Pavlovic and BetterParts.de. It's Team Red X Simsport and then Scuderia Bruschetti rounding out your top 10 in the BMW M4 GT3s, with a second of the Team Red X cars, this time the Academy entry, just in 11th. Stan Motor will be alongside on the outside of row 6, while 13th will see the iRacing Team Zandvoort car hoping to go well on home soil. Ray Dominguez, Rapid Ray, back from 14th with Iron Monkey Motorsports, Infinity Fox Racing, Purple Sector Motorsports, and Gasp Racing through the top 18. And then just Team Alexander Walters with no time on the board. Not sure that we'll see that car rolling through the fields as well. They're underway for, again, a full formation lap And it's always interesting, Lewis, what happens when we get these longer formation laps as compared to the times when the drivers are deposited just a couple of corners before the start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big advocate of long formation laps, of proper formation laps. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, like places like Le Mans, whatever, you want to start quite close. But what this does in an event like this, it just gives you that time to kind of get behind the wheel, breathe a little bit. Any nerves are high, then you get to kind of slow those down, calm those down. I think it's always fairly important just to give yourself a bit of a breather, and around what's going to be a difficult 2 hours of racing. Yeah, it's to be fair, it should be a fun one at least.
I think we're expecting it to be fun. It's pretty cool in terms of conditions, and maybe to be expected, I should say, at Zandvoort. The Dutch dunes blowing up plenty of winds, 16, 17 km/h gusts.
That's nothing.
I mean, it's not that much, but come on, Lewis. It's more than sometimes we're used to.
Look, mate, when I was there, it was 12 degrees, and the wind was something about like 60 to 70 k. So,
See, but you're British, so this just sounds like you complaining like normal.
Well, I'll tell you about I was commentating from a shipping container as well, but yes, I can complain about a lot of things. Yeah, it was. It's fine. It's a lovely place with lovely people.
The joys of live broadcasting. People don't realise sometimes the lengths that we go to. I heard a story of people commentating out of the back of cars on occasion.
Oh, thankfully I've not been that far, although I have thought about it a few times when it comes to, not missing esports gigs. But no, we're here.
You're not commentating from a car today, are you, Lewis?
I am at home. I am at home.
Good. Expectations then. 2 pit stops, of course, for the GTPs, the LMDHs. 1, of course, for the GT3s. Who's going to be brave when it comes to some strategy calls? What do you think we can do?
I mean, the thing is, like they've done enough rounds now where they've kind of worked out roughly what they want to do. The main thing that we always talk about in the LMDH is you've got to do 2 stops. So who's doing the longer portion? Who's driving for an hour and 20 minutes? In GT3s, they're going to take tyres on every on the stop they do. There's no open strategy. Yes, I am still angry about it, but it's fine. So strategy-wise around here, it shouldn't be too difficult. It's more about keeping out of trouble. That is the most important strategy.
I've been asked, by the way, Lewis, to ask about cricket.
Cricket? Oh, I hate cricket. Who's asked that?
Someone in the iRacing Esports Network chat.
Oh, I hate cricket.
Do you? Well, it's a good thing, because I don't think England have been enjoying their fall of cricket.
I mean, again, I wouldn't even know.
It's okay, you and O'Leary does, because I've been teasing him about it.
Does he?
Yes, he does.
Does he watch cricket?
He does watch cricket. Has he gone down in your books right now?
Yeah.
Have I gone down in your books?
Yeah. It wasn't that hard for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a low bar for me anyway. But 2 rounds to go, of course. This was the round that so many drivers had circled as the TBD. Which track would we go racing at? And it's with high banking here at Zandvoort that they get ready to run. It's about a 2.6 mile lap, 4.2 odd kilometers. And of course, we've got all that new banking that will lead to high speeds into turn number 1. And as Lewis alluded to, the potential as well for less braking energy. Green flag waits for the Williams Esports pair. Jaden Munoz and Matt Farrow get us going once again in the BMW M SIM Cup. And instantly, Munoz in front of Farrow, single file for the top 2. But drama between Urano and Apex. It was Marcus Solholm that was off into the gravel. He recovers himself and runs his way now back into the opening sector. But the GT3s are already on his case, Lewis, as the front of the GTPs work through the banking up to the middle sector.
Yeah, watch the differing lines through turn 3 there, especially the GT3s where there's more of them. It's quite easy to kind of go a bit too high, sometimes easy to go too low, and then you just understeer straight into the top car. What's happened there?
That was Vlad Kimichev, I'm pretty sure, in the Urano car, and another one in the gravel.
It was. I don't know quite how that one happened. I was looking at the screen on the right, and I saw a car backwards. There's more movement happening in this group, but clearly there has been a lot of issues as everyone's trying to work their way back round. Big car, big damage, trying to get back to the pit lane.
I mean, how nervous would this be for some of those GT3 drivers? Look at the Apex car going very wide, just trying to get past the stricken GTP machine, but we expected chaos. I don't think, Lewis, we expected this.
No, that GTP there, I think, is Louis Gaspar that's just trying to get back towards the pit lane. But yes, I mean, we were expecting drama. You're absolutely right. That much, to be fair, I'm not super shocked by it, but for Williams, it's still a 1-2 for them in the LMDHs. That's the important bit. They complete the first lap in that order, so Jaden Munoz doing a great start.
And so you can see the margin as a car dives off to pit lane. That's Solholm, so the Apex Racing car clearly took a significant whack on the opening lap, and Urano's 91, Kimichev, well, expected in as well, given that he went around almost at the entry in towards, how are we saying it, Lewis? What's the corner name?
Which one, sorry? What, Sheaflack?
Sheaflack, there we go. I just wanted to make sure I was on cue.
I can tell you, just by the way, it's completely wrong.
Okay.
And I apologise. There's a lot of damage there, isn't there?
I was going to say, is that red line, and then no, that's Movano. They have very similar liveries, and so it's Sasha Gorla that's off, and a second Movano car is now off as well. Fraser Williamson having issues too.
Yeah, look at the damage on the car, just trying to get out of the way. I'm assuming there's got suspension damage. Look at how much that the front right lifts up to the rear left has completely gone on that car. So, yeah, pretty dramatic start, as was expected. In the GT3, slightly less so, but, I mean, I don't even know where to start with this.
I mean, into turn one, Marcus Solholm just goes off, and
I think it's just the engine braking, isn't it? The engine recovery, no? Oh, no.
No,
Contact.
there's contact.
Touche.
The aerial looks never lie.
No, that's why we like them.
And then, okay, this is going to be high speed, isn't this? Oh, it's on the curb. Oh, and that's where the other two got tangled up.
Yeah, that was the one that I said about with Louis Gaspard that got hit over the rear end. Like you say, just taking this curb on the right side, that's at turn 6. You've got the escape road there. It actually drops off. Whoa, that was very scary. I've got to say, give a little bit of plaudits to the Urano car. It was doing kind of the right thing there, just holding the brakes. The car's going straight on. It looks dangerous, but at least it's predictable from that point. Yes,
that's the thing. You want to just try and be predictable. Now, though, as the drivers that had to come down pit lane, try and work their way through traffic, it's early for Marcus Solholm to have to be dealing with GT3s, but we're already seeing just how patient you're going to have to be. Gets past one car in the file between turns 1 and 2, and now up the inside through the high banking at Hugenholtz, and we'll cycle back past all of the rest of the GT3 contenders. That was just what happened on the opening half a lap, by the way. That doesn't go and look at what happened to the Movano cars on the second lap.
Yeah, again, I don't quite know what happened. Obviously, there was a little bit of T3 with one of them. Let's take a look. Is it contact or is it just solo? Oh, solo. Just loses the rear. Oh, they make contact with each other. 0 out of 10. 0 out of 10.
Okay, to be fair to Fraser Williamson, I don't really know what more he could have done in this situation, but this is, I'm pretty sure, what you were talking about with the engine braking, Lewis.
Yeah, that definitely seems like it. Absolutely nothing that Williamson could do. Obviously, if you get on the brakes more, you go up the banking. You put your foot down, you go up the banking. There's just nothing you can do right there. You just got to hope, and unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time. Just a big shame. Like I said, that is so easy to do as well, because you've got to remember, as you come through turn 2 and then into 3, the banking changes so aggressively. You come over a crest to do so, and as you start to almost like drop in and take the high line like you would at somewhere like Bristol, it's so easy to lose the rear end, especially in a car like that. Ooh.
That's what happened, by the way, in some of the traffic, so it just goes to show how careful you do have to be working your way on through some of these situations. Now, fortunately for the front of the GTP field, LMDH field, they haven't really been fighting too much, Lewis. The top 3 still as they qualified, with Munoz in front of Farrow and then Dominic Hoffman, but it's Satellite Racing and Christian Hildegard holding on to your leaders as they run to the end of lap number 4.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things of like, the pole sitter to race winner conversion in BMW M SIM Cup is not high. It's not a good percentage. I think it's only something like around 50 or so, which does generally mean that it's not saying that pole position is a bad thing. Of course it's not, but it's more that just because you're leading at the moment does not mean that you're going to take the victory in an hour and 54 minutes time. Got to give a bit of a shout out as well to the TPS Gentlemen's Club Touring Pro Series. Of course, that was my old league. You remember we were talking about stock cars the other day?
Yes. Was that
Touring
the
Pro
league?
Series was the league, yes.
Oh, wow,
and
okay.
Lars Brugman was my teammate when I took the championship, sort of, not really, to Nikodem and Kuba from they're Williams now, aren't they? Nikodem Wisniewski, Kuba Brzezinski. Back in the day, 2015-16, my old teammate back there, just a shout out.
Yeah, Lewis was telling us some fun stories. What was it, Thursday evening?
Yes, it was Thursday evening.
Friday morning for you.
Yeah.
You got to experience my pain of the early/late broadcast.
Yeah, what time is it for you at the moment?
Daylight savings overnight, so hypothetically I should have actually gotten some more sleep, but it's 5:50 in the morning.
Nice, delightful. And it's all right because it's a big day of sim racing,
it
BMW M SIM
is.
Cup, IMSA as well.
And there's that,
Oh, you poor thing.
pesky Formula One in between,
And I will be watching it.
And there's the
for my
NASCAR
afternoon
Championship.
nap.
I mean, it's just, look how much there is on today in motorsport.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
It's
It's
not
good.
bad.
Obviously, the World Endurance Championship ended yesterday as well.
Yeah.
No spoilers in case no one's watched it, but it's pretty good. So
I like the way you phrased that. No one's watched it.
Well, I mean,
No, I know.
look, I'm sure.
It was
on
just a turn of
social-
phrase.
I'm sure on social media, you will have come across quite a few of the results, which annoyed me because I'd watched most of the race and then I had to bail for the last bit to go and do some work, and then I did the dangerous thing, just search on social media. I was like, oh great, cool.
Ah,
Fantastic.
I see. Yes. Stay away from socials.
I try generally.
So here is the fight for the lead as Jaden Munoz is getting closed by Matt Farrow. It's 0.6 of a second between the two of them, and it's really traffic that's really enabled this gap to be brought on down. It is two teammates at the front, we should not forget. Although, in terms of championship situations, Lewis, Munoz, of course, I don't know who he's actually paired with in the number one car. Look over to the timing screen. It's Augustin Canapino, so that's an interesting pairing. But Matt Farrow, Josh Ladd, they, of course, would very much appreciate the points in their battle against Kimmich and Woolmeyer for 3rd and 4th in points.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, look, everyone's playing for their own thing, championship-wise. Although I will say, in a title race like this, sometimes I think it is best to forget about the championship, right? And I mean that in the you're already juggling a lot of things in the race. Just go out there and get whatever result that you can get. If that moves you higher up in the championship, perfect. If it doesn't, so be it. Yeah, we've still got 50 points. Well, technically it's 52 points up for grabs in both categories across this round and the next round. So there's still plenty of points on the table for you to close up to various positions. We're looking back from Jaden Munoz, and you can see a bit of pressure. Do you think these two will fight too much? Surely not. Not around here.
Not right now, is what I would probably say. It will be interesting just to see when they do start to fight, but of course, they're still working through the traffic, being relatively patient. They've pulled away from Dominic Hoffman. You can just about see that number 90 at the very back of the shot, just entering into this short short straight before you're onto the brakes once again. I'm just looking at the livery, by the way. I know it's very early for a livery watch, Lewis, but as Matt Farrow up the inside, Munoz around the outside of traffic. That was nervy for a second. That Duracell battery, it just looks great.
It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, no, like I say, it's fun watching these bomb it around. But yeah, no, it's always the thing that we highlight on it, just because it's a good bit of brand. And there you go. You've drawn a circle around it.
That's not a circle, Lewis. Come on.
No, I don't really know what it is. I thought you were drawing a really bad rendition of a track map, but no, it's fine. To be fair, it's probably not too dissimilar to the club circuit around Zandvoort, which is different.
Not a bad shout, actually. I've commentated on a sim race around, I think, the club layout, or one of the weird layouts that we have at Zandvoort.
I nearly won a race around there once in a
Did
Formula
you?
E car. Yeah.
The cars are very yellow as the sun continues just to move itself around. Let's go on back, though, to your GT3 cars, because that's Diogo Pinto in the lead of the Red Line machines. He's out of drafting range now of Sam Koiter. An important mark in a race often determined by fuel saving, these BMW M SIM Cup GT3 battles.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the news that Team Redline have had out fairly recently, but for them at the moment, things aren't looking so great in this race. Like you say, Sam Koiter has pulled away a fair amount at the moment. That gap going to just over 2 seconds. I get the feeling it will potentially come back down again. The Urano Esports HP car is in a comfortable lead, but you know what traffic's like around here. A couple of mistakes, a couple of missteps. One of those pesky LMDHs diving it down the inside at a risky corner, and suddenly you can be dragged right back in by that pack behind.
I love that shot off the banking as they work their way back towards the line. I was always quite curious how this banking was going to work. Lewis, in your perspective now, having visited it, what does it do to the flow of the circuit?
I mean, look, I've never been the biggest fan of Zandvoort at the best times. I think to drive, it has made it a lot better. Like, as in, it's a lot more entertaining to drive. There is actually really good flow round here. And it's kind of removed some of the awkwardness without removing the challenge.
Interesting.
Which, yeah, it's pretty cool. From a spectator's point of view, it has actually introduced quite a few cool bits around here. I've got to say, if you're stood and able to watch anything around like turn 3, which is actually a lot more awkward than you think, but it's fine. To see them like dive into the banking, even through the final corner when you watch them come through, the speed is so high, and seeing them on the bank, it's pretty cool. Although that said, it's you literally just sat there being like, it's over racing, isn't it?
A little bit, I guess, in some ways. Although
you've already seen all this stuff.
It was interesting when they put the banking for Formula 1 through the final corner, some of the engineering that they had to do to figure out what exactly was going to work. And I'm not an actual engineer. Software engineers, have engineer in their title, but we're not close. No, I agree.
That's like saying a dentist is a doctor.
Oh, that's a bold take. Don't say that to your dentist.
No, it's fine.
Unless your dentist, drives an LMDH car, in which case they're probably not a bad dentist.
No, mine would probably drive an LMP3 if I'm perfectly honest.
Then you should be worried. Yes, exactly. I forget what point I was trying to make now because we've gone on a.
You were talking about software engineers and engineering of the circuit.
Oh, but yeah, like just the way they talked about, we need this amount of banking for this amount of speed, and therefore this amount of load on the tires. And it was just like. Interesting. Although, I'm glad I'm not Herman Tilke, and maybe now I appreciate why all the tracks look the same.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you go and revisit a classic circuit and you're trying to build it up to modern standards, you've got to make some sacrifices to various bits. And some people will say that the circuit's ruined compared to where it used to be. I'd say it's the things have been done a good job. They've not changed the layout, really. The
right.
Layout's still relatively the same as to what it's been since 1999, by the way, just saying. Obviously, the layout when the circuit was first built, in the 40s, used to be very different. Then it went under a change in I think it was like the 80s or so, and then they added the bit back in 1999, where they go up to Shivlak. All of that kind of section hasn't actually changed that much. Like since 1999, the circuit's not really changed very much, and I think that's pretty cool. It's just like the tweaks to make it more acceptable for modern racing cars and putting it up to an FIA Grade 1 circuit, because you still get that sort of like that historic nostalgia, even if it's a good or a bad racetrack. It's just, let's be honest, it's better to race here than some of the other junk fests that we get built these days.
Yes, no, that's true. By the way, a lot of software engineers aren't happy with my comments in the iRacing Esports Network chat. I'm just again, I went to my college for 4 years. I didn't have to pass a certification, a licensing exam, like many of the people that graduate with civil engineering degrees or mechanical engineering degrees do. And when I used to work in ad tech, if my code didn't work, all that happened is advertising didn't happen and people's money didn't get spent. It's not the same as when an engineer builds something that it is much more likely to be a life or death situation. So there are some software engineers that can quite credibly say, yes, you are an engineer. I'm just not one of them.
And I don't know anything about
Lewis
code.
Isn't one of them either, clearly.
I can handle a little bit of code on spreadsheets.
Your spreadsheets are quite good, though.
Equals import range.
Okay,
bracket,
I was going to say, you're
link.
quite good at formatting spreadsheets, maybe not actually using them to calculate stuff.
Good Lord, no. No, and to be fair, anything like that, it's all Google, mate. It's all Google. AI does it for you and all that stuff. No, I have absolutely no idea on anything code. I tried, I was going to, I think like when I was in secondary school, I was like, I'm going to start looking at some of the stuff because I think it's pretty cool. And then I genuinely looked at it for about 5 minutes and went, I've literally no interest. I am bored to tears. So no, I didn't.
Yeah, I don't blame you. No. I don't blame you. Up the inside comes traffic, by the way.
I was gonna say we're going on for start-finish straight. We're going to pass my shipping container on the left, but no, it's fine. The battle for the race lead, like I say, I will say, Urano Esports in the GT3, mega. I'm hearing tyres.
Oh, did you?
Oh, I think it was on my end.
Oh, we are seeing a swap around for the
issue.
lead, though, as we're going to go 3 wide once again through traffic, and we didn't know if they were going to fight. I don't know if Jaden Munoz is really going to try and get this one back, but it is Matt Farrow to the lead.
Do you remember I said I heard tyres?
Yes.
You might want to go back and look at that replay of the penultimate corner, because there was an incident here, and so this is getting a little awkward as Matt Farrow's worked his way through. Jaden Munoz got involved in an incident in the penultimate corner, and that has what has opened up the opportunity for Matt Farrow to take the lead. Take a look at this.
Yeah, so that's the same orange and purple machine that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit clumsy overall.
I mean, I've got to say, the orange and purple car's not really following the main rule of stay on your line. Kind of wobbles a little bit. Watch, kind of sits in the middle of the road and sort of like almost tries to take a defensive line here. That's an odd choice.
That is an odd choice.
For Pavlovich.
And it means now, is there going to be damage from Munoz, because he has started to lose a bit of ground, and here comes Hoffman. He was only 2 seconds away from the back of Matt Farrow through that entire sequence, and finds himself really starting to close, as there do appear to be a couple more cars slipping and sliding off the track.
It's a tricky circuit, but Lars Brugman's worked himself inside the top six. He's not, never mind. I was committed there. But no, he's involved in this battle for sixth position. No bias, obviously. My bias will very much switch when Ryan Cowan takes over this car. It's fine. But for now, I'm a big supporter of TPS Gentlemen's Club.
It's only when the teammate switches that your support will
Correct.
be lost. As all with traffic, that was almost a nervy moment. Up towards the final sweeping corner they will go, and up the inside, yep, GT3 car will go up high and allow them the room to jink down low. Let's go back towards the front though, because I'm still curious, does Munoz have lasting damage, or is it more just settle back into the rhythm, as Hoffman now within 2.5 seconds of the race lead?
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to take a good look at the car. It seems, for the most part, okay. Taking a little bit of a closer look in game. Like, I don't actually see at least any visual damage to Jaden Munoz's car. It doesn't mean that there isn't any damage on it. It doesn't mean that it's driving perfectly. I would suspect when you're in the car, even if you don't actually have any understeer added, you can kind of have, like, it's almost like that mental rain, isn't it? Yeah, when you get those first like bits on your visor, you slow down a little bit because mental rain. I think there might be mental understeer. You think the car's got understeer, thus it understeers more because you're asking too much of the front. So. It might be more on that side of things as to where this damage comes from. But to be fair, the pace seems fine.
What's happened to Lars Brugman, by the way? I just realised he's down in 8th now.
Yeah, he's lost like 10 seconds or so, isn't he? Look, it's fine. He's learning from my time being his teammate.
Okay, so this, by the way, is a replay of the Scuderia Bruschetti car, and then we'll go and figure out what happened to your former teammate.
Exactly. Ooh, I think got 2 wheels onto the grass on the left.
Yes.
Going up towards Chivak.
Which is
or at least the rear left.
Which is very easy to do, and then it was as they came around that stricken Bruschetti that into the gravel went to your former teammate.
I mean, to be fair, he's still sort of my team. We were teammates at Zandshow. But yeah, you can see involved in this tight battle. So they were side by side here, which is why you're taking the slightly higher line. And Shivlak has a car in the middle of the road. Not really much you can do there. And then just overdid it and sent it into the gravel. Thankfully, no damage on the car, so we'll be able to bring it back on. Obviously, just got to watch out for the gravel and stuff and the tyres, dirty tyres. But the most important thing is, like I've always said, keep out of major trouble in this race, and you'll probably be in a decent position later on.
I think that's what we're kind of seeing as well. By the way, the iRacing Esports Network, Lewis, wants more of our hot takes.
What else do we have hot takes
I mean, come on, we got plenty.
That's
corner
true.
numbers?
Yeah, but that's not really a hot take.
No.
That's not. Corner numbers is not a hot take. If you want to hear a long discussion on corner numbers, wait until IMSA Esports this evening, because we're racing at Road Atlanta, which is one of the worst on planet Earth for it, despite being one of the best tracks.
You know what's funny as well? The Atlanta Motorsports Park is just as bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how you exit turn 6, and then suddenly, the next time you actually turn the wheel to get into a corner, you're at turn 10.
Yeah, but this is the whole thing of like, oh no, see, no, it's fine. We'll hold fire on this one. This is going to get brought back up again later on. But no, that's not a hot take. We need more hot takes on more things. So we'll ask us questions, and maybe we'll have hot takes on them. Boom, done. We're making them make the content for us, our junior.
I'm just trying to think. Hot take. BMW M Hybrid V8 looks quite good. I don't know if that's a hot take.
That is a hot take, because it doesn't.
It just looks aggressive. You know what I mean?
I will say, when it was first shown off, I hated it, and then I started to like it, and then I started to hate it again, and now I'm in the middle. We're finding an equilibrium here.
Okay, I see.
We're in the middle, and so it's fine.
I mean, we both then expressed our distaste for the front grille on the BMW M4 GT3.
Oh yeah, because it's hideous.
Yes, and there are some clever things that you can do with it. For example,
leave it blue, white, and red because you haven't submitted a livery, and then everyone knows that.
Yeah, I haven't got a DM from a Redline team manager just yet, which is a welcome relief to scramble around to fix things around behind the scenes. But that's one thing. But two, I was trying to figure out how best to phrase this. You could do what Pure Sims have done with their brand new livery in partnership with Michelin for the IMSA Esports Global Championship. Have you seen the Michelin man on the front?
I have not.
Oh, Lewis, it works a treat.
Okay, now I need to see it.
VCO Esports, go on social media, go on Twitter.
We'll see it later on, won't we? We'll see it later on.
You'll
Although
see.
I am now going to go and look for it anyway.
You will see it here live on the iRacing Esports Network. The race begins, by the way, 2 p.m. Eastern, which, because the clocks have switched tonight, or last night, I should say, in the US, means that +5, 7 p.m. UTC. Adjust your clocks around the world because it is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Lewis, I'll send you a picture.
I've seen it. I've just seen it. It's very good.
It's actually really good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's genius. I like it. It's the whole thing of like the whole Duracell batch on top of the Williams. I like it when people get a bit inventive with how they put sponsorship and how they do things on the livery, because it looks good.
It does.
It looks good when you actually apply some graphic design. And really go for it. It does look good. This is why I stopped being a livery designer, because I couldn't.
Because you weren't very good.
I wasn't. No, I made a couple of decent liveries, but they were more luck than judgment.
Did you ever do any Zandshow liveries?
Yeah, of course I did.
Ah, then you weren't bad. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, no, but to be fair though, all I did was I took Bryce's liveries and I didn't take I just look at photographs of them and then just basically put them onto a new car. So I didn't design anything. I just copied and stole, which is
aka Max Ero,
exactly.
Max Ero the GOAT. Yes.
Exactly. Does he still do sim racing liveries?
That's a good question. Last I heard, he was somewhat stepping back from it.
Yeah, so.
But that was also the last time I asked him to do an artifact livery, so that was going on a year ago.
I think he still does, because he still does. I see like various liveries and stuff on training paints and stuff. So we see a switch here. That's lap traffic, rather. Sorry, not a switch position. Still the battle for second in class. But yeah, I think it's more like he does like liveries. Kind of when he wants to do it, at least from what I can see. Either way, one of the best livery designs in sim racing, in my opinion. Very good.
I mean, he did the Zandshow livery, he did the artifact livery, so clearly good taste.
Exactly.
For him and clients.
Well,
yeah, I was trying to make us sound good. Oh, I gotta say that. For Diogo Pinto, it was a moment where the Urano car was going to the apex, and Diogo wanted to be there as well. It allows now an opportunity for the second car driven by Gianni Vecchio to close, but of course, given that they are currently pulling away from Jimmy Antunes, no swap around happens just yet, but yeah, that margin up to Sam Coiter, I've been watching it. It's lap after lap after lap. A tenth, a tenth, a tenth. Sam Coiter is on a roll right now.
And the only thing that I can think of, we kind of discussed this before when we've had rounds when you're pulling away from a team like Team Redline, knowing how good they are in this championship, at least in the GT3 side, they've won 6 races as Redline, not the Lullen Pinto one, because obviously Steinbrat and Vecchio did win as well. But Redline have won a lot in this category. When you're pulling away that quickly, again, the questions are always asked: what are you doing wrong? Because you shouldn't be pulling away from them that easily and that quickly. Maybe it is that things have just clicked around Zandvoort so well. Maybe they're coming into it unpracticed with a lot of work elsewhere in the world of sim racing. Or maybe they're doing something on strategy when it comes to fuel saving and such. And that's always the bit that'd be in the back of my mind.
I am trying to think. This is not necessarily a track where you're always on throttle.
No.
But you made the point quite correctly earlier that especially with some of the banking, you have less time on the brakes now. Does that actually counterintuitively mean more opportunities to save fuel because you can lift off and just carry some more momentum in through the corner?
I mean, theoretically, but then if that were the case, then
right, yeah,
I think you would actually what you would see is the advantage of fuel saving more would be more down to like you don't actually lose that much speed from doing it. At which point, there's something bizarre happening here, and I don't fully know what it is yet. Maybe it is just that Sam Coulter is that much faster. But again, there might just be something strategic happening, and we're not fully sure as to what it is. The thing is, with Sam Coulter, I don't see them running this much faster than everyone else. But then, kind of like they're smart people, right? You know, it's a smart team. They know how to win, etc., etc., etc. They're not just going to go and burn all the fuel and go, oh well, we're going to have a two-stop because we can't save enough fuel. Around here, a circuit which isn't that super high on fuel anyway, and with a team that's that good. I don't know. That seems there's something a bit bizarre there.
No, I think I get what you're saying here. Almost halfway through this first hour, though, so it means that we are halfway through the fuel stint for the GT3s. We're probably closing in on maybe 10 minutes away from the pit stop window opening up for your LMDH drivers as well. Sometimes we see the driver change take place in the first pit stop, and sometimes it's in the second. It all just depends on how the drivers want to sort things out there. In terms of gaps between the top three, it's kept relatively constant, to be fair. Yeah. Hoffman, Munoz, and Farrow checked last in with them, separated by, what, 2.5 seconds? Yes, it's 3.5 now. But it's just the traffic that seems to be playing a part.
Yeah, I've seen that gap between, particularly from first to second. I've seen Munoz be 2 seconds behind to then being half a second behind to then going back up to about this 1.5 seconds. It's gone up and down quite a bit. A lot of that is just traffic. I mean, you can see here, picking off some of the back markers, Munoz. That was actually pretty nice, where you're getting on the exit of the corner, but probably had to get a little bit delayed on throttle, not pummeling it straight down, because obviously then you've got a car directly on the path you want to go at. So things not super easy, but for right now, these three are definitely in contention for victory. All three of these. I would say from behind, there needs to be a bit more luck involved to see if Satellite are going to be dragged back into it, and I don't necessarily see that being the case. Right now, it does seem as though it's a bit of a 3-horse race.
Yes, even the Satellite Racing 64, which was holding on at the start, has just lost out, I think, more through the traffic than anything, and this is where the experience of working through traffic often plays its part. As back over with your GT3s, it's still Pinto that's towing around Gianni Vecchio. Now I'm trying to figure out fastest laps right here, because this is what the discussion has been in the build-up, right? It's at least between, in the red line camp, Pinto and Lullum for that GT3 battle. Now, Pinto's fastest so far in this race, 1:33.372. The fastest in the class, though, if I'm reading this correctly, is a 1:33.367 set by Sam Coulter at the very front.
Which is, to be honest, no shot. Like, Sam Coulter is absolutely the fastest driver on this, at least at the moment in this stint, has absolutely been the fastest driver. There is no doubt in my mind. I mean, the other thing, by the way, we've obviously spoken about fuel and all that kind of stuff, so obviously it's not really a heavy fuel circuit, is tyres. It is a bit of a heavy one on tyres, because obviously, again, the average speed is you're leaning through the corners at quite high speed. But then again, I would have expected him to have started dropping back by now.
I just want to call out the consistency, by the way, that we're seeing from Coulter.
And you wouldn't see that.
Even with the traffic, Lewis. That's the scary bit.
Yeah, like I say, if it was a real, like, a tyre management race, you wouldn't see someone setting the best time of a 1:33.3 and then half an hour into the race setting a 1:33.4. You wouldn't see that if we were a big tyre management race. So again, I think, to be honest, at the moment, it looks like it's just incredible driving right now. Ooh. That's
not incredible driving. It's just a little bit clumsy there. Concertina checks up, and as the traffic's coming through, it's Nick Mercer and Ray Dominguez and the Team Red X and the RMS BMWs that end up getting the worst of it.
Yeah, I also have seen, we'll take another little look at this. Obviously, just... Like, I kind of get it. You get one of the LMDHs coming down the inside of you. You kind of think, well, you're more focused on that a little bit. You take your eye off of the car ahead. But again, the most important thing when you're in those back markers, when you're in the GT3s, focus on what you're doing, not what they're doing, and hope and pray. But to be fair, the strength of the field is still fairly high, to the point where I think the lowest driver on this grid is still about 3 and a bit K. At which point you should really know what to expect through traffic. So who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, let's be real. How was your experience in the Spa 24? The traffic?
Well, to be fair, it was just GT3s though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so.
but I always feel that it's the same class traffic that is actually the worst.
I was a very good boy.
Okay, because you crashed the car, so you were the lapped car.
We went 4 laps down. But again, I set the fastest lap in our car, so have it.
I'm just enjoying teasing Lewis because he's for a long time been teasing me as well. Lights flash from Alexander Thieber. Universal sign of I'm not happy in racing?
Yeah, sometimes it can be whoopsie daisy, I'm very sorry, but on that occasion it did seem as though, what are you on, mate? So it didn't seem particularly pleased in all of that. We'll see exactly as to why. I'm going to assume at T3 here there might be a touch of contact.
And you talked about different lines. There's 2 bits of contact there.
At least he put him the right back way round.
I mean, it is fair and courteous, I guess.
At least he put him back the right way. That's the important bit from there. But yes, no, like I say, so you can run quite high round here. I think theoretically it should be up until the white line. You've got to have 2 wheels within the white line there, which is absolutely fine there. But the thing is, once you commit into the corner, you're kind of like you're already on the whatever line you've committed. And so Thieber has gone a bit, a groove higher, has gone basically as high as you can really go there, and just got hit a bit by Kira Wolf. Easily done, very clumsy, but it is what it is, as we have a battle between the red lines.
You say battle?
And by battle, I mean, yeah, obviously he's just letting them
go. Swap around effectively. Thieber's brought it down into pit lane, so there's
Meatball.
Significant enough damage that he's going to be forced to sit there and now wait. Fortunately, though, Lewis, there is a fast repair available in these BMW M SIM Cup races.
But if we were talking about the LMDH category, you'd think, right, we'd have to do a bit of fuel saving, we can still get home, on the same strategy basically as everyone else. In the GT3s, that is thrown into the bin. You've got, we talk about this, it's an hour stint. You want a one-stop in all of this. There's a car going very slow in the background, one of the LMDHs. Not sure who that was. That was very slow through T1. But yeah, so for this car, they're now thrown onto a strategy where they're going to have to come back into the pit lane again and make 2 stops rather than just the 1.
Was it Fraser Williamson in the Movado car?
Must have been.
Have you noticed that?
Must be the damage.
Yeah,
that was really slow at T1 though.
But have you noticed that there's something missing from the front of his car?
Yeah, there's the bonnet missing, but I mean, respect.
I don't think I've ever actually seen a car that looks this ludicrous before. I just have to say.
No, but this is what I think there might have been more drama at T1 because he was very slow at T1, but you can kind of see it through this section. It's not actually that slow, really. I mean, it's definitely a lot slower than the rest of the class. Let's go with that. But no, I do like as well that the lights and stuff still work on the front. It makes it look even more ridiculous.
It does look pretty ridiculous. Now, I'm just going to say this again. They haven't made our lives easy by making this car look like almost a red line car.
We can talk about this for a bit. Okay, fantastic. Because I have a lot of problems with this. I have a lot of problems with this. What are you doing?
Well, what's going to happen is the replay first, because this is not going to... Ooh. Ooh.
I think the GT3 was trying to get out of the way, which you shouldn't be doing.
Yes, especially given how high speed it is into the opening corner. And Williamson's down on the boxes maybe is not unexpected.
Yeah, obviously you can see here. I mean, the speed differential there is insane. I mean, the thing is with T1, you can actually take 2 or 3 lines through there. You can either go for a later apex, you can hold it down on the low side all the way around. You can hold it on really on the high side. It's about halfway up, and then the rubber kind of stops. But you can hold it around there, and the banking's just about enough to keep you on the road. That was all a bit messy, but maybe there was a bit of karma in there for having the same livery as Redline. So.
Yes. Sorry, you were going to talk about some of your thoughts about this.
Yes.
How many thoughts?
Oh, a lot. If you're going to design a livery and stuff, and yes, you might be celebrating like, yeah, but this is the same livery you always run with. Well, change it then. No, it's like Would you not be like really irritated, sat there looking at your car and being like, on a broadcast, it is indistinguishable from a different team? I'd be like, look, let's at least add, I don't know, some yellow or something to this. Like, just spice it up so that people can look at it from a distance and be like, bam, that's not our car. We had this discussion with who was it? It was Apex, it was Pure Sims, and Vendaval.
Blue and white, effectively, yes.
Blue, white, grey, the same shade of like grey, the same shade of blue, and it all looked ridiculous. Thankfully, there have been some changes. At least Pure Sims added green to it, and at least now Apex have moved to a darker colour palette. So now we don't have that problem anymore. That
is true, although I still maintain that...
I quite like it on this car, I'll say that.
It looks good, this is the thing, but like...
It's growing on me.
It doesn't still scream to me Apex Racing Team.
No, but I think that will come with time. As you get more.
But what happens if they change it again?
Well, ask them not to change it. But hey, you're the one with the shirt. I've been asking for a shirt. I've been trying to join the team.
You tried to apply.
No.
I mean, they just gave me one. Like they recognise my value.
I did very much enjoy going to the week after I went to Zandvoort. We went to Donington Park, and I went up to Alex Dunn, obviously new Apex Racing Team driver. Was it a few months back he signed for the squad, whatever it was. Might have been longer than that. I can't remember. Went up to him to have a little chin wag, and I was like, oh, goodness me. It's all the Apex Racing Team drivers, and so we had a great chat, and they were all laughing about my application to the team.
Yes, because of how ludicrous it was.
It was pretty funny, though.
Yeah, no, it was. You sent it over to me. It was great.
I kind of want to go and find it now and see what I've written on it. I put, I'm the greatest driver you've ever seen, and mostly want an Apex Racing Team shirt. Sign me or something. I'm the slowest 2.8k I-rated driver money can buy. And I stand by that. I think I am the slowest 2.8k I-rated. That's really hard to say, by the way.
There's a lot of things as commentators that, yes, are not easy to say. I've got to ask Lewis, what shirt are you wearing right now?
Grab me sports.
Look at you bias.
Well, it's because it's a nice, comfortable jumper.
Oh, okay, yeah, you are wearing that.
It's a hoodie, yeah, exactly. It's nice and comfortable. It's nice and comfortable.
Yeah. Oh.
It's quite cold in this house, so
you're making me want to go and put my Grab Me Sports hoodie on now.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to because...
It's okay, I've got my Arnage competition shirt on right now, actually.
Oh, mine's downstairs.
Yeah,
we do have a few team shirts now, so if you do want to send some shirts,
if you want some friends,
bias.
Yes, you want some friends. We all know that we need them in high places.
Yep, message me, Lewis McGlade on Discord, Lewis McGlade78 on social media. Send me a message, and I will tell you where you can send a shirt so that I can then give you some bias on a broadcast. Okay?
Danny Shivishabo says, by the way, that your application is being observed with the most attention. So
nice. He did say that I should bypass the academy and join straight into the main team. So thanks, Daniel.
I mean, the confidence there. I mean, Danny clearly wants to share a car with you in the upcoming iRacing Fuji 8 Hours next weekend.
Absolutely, and I can tell you, I would crash.
Well. Okay, yes, exactly.
No, as one of the drivers on this grid is well aware as to my habits when it comes to driving, Mr. Lars Brugman. When we were teammates, he was by far the fastest car. It was a great team, by the way. I love that. It was me. It was Lars Brugman. It was Stephen Bailey. Someone people might know.
Oh yes.
In the sim racing world, it was us three against the world. And by against the world, I mean it was against my ability to chuck it down the escape road and also run out of fuel. So. Top effort.
Top effort, indeed. I'm just trying to think what other teams have sent me clothes that you won't have. Pure Sims?
I don't have a Pure Sims top, no.
Pure Sims.
You've probably got quite a few.
No, I'm struggling to think of who else I've got at that point.
Well,
you don't have, you know.
You've got BS Competition.
Yeah, I've got a few. I got BS Turner.
Yeah. I don't have any of those. I don't have any of those. Florian. I don't have any of those.
I mean, those were out of my own pocket.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
So
yeah, but
I'm a true fan, you know.
I want them for free, though.
If you're wondering why this has turned into 2 hours of podcast mode, it has, after a relatively hectic opening couple of laps, settled into a rhythm for the most part, especially up towards the front. Yes, you've got a couple of gaps, that have started to close on down, including the fact that Dominic Hoffman is within 1.2 seconds of Jaden Munoz for second in the LMDH class. But with pit stop window surely about to open for these BMW M Hybrid V8s, Lewis, right now, it's kind of just settled in to its rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we expect to come into the pit lane within the next I was going to say within the next sort of like couple of minutes. To be honest though, with the fuel usage around here, you know, we kind of discussed this a few rounds previous. That's a lot of curb being taken there. Clearly this year, Arno car's got no problem with taking that curb. Show that one to Luca Kita from earlier on in the race. One car has come into the pit lane, the RD Sim Sport car, so Cavani is in the lane. I would suspect, you know, even around here, you could probably make it to around an hour and 50, maybe even an hour and 10 to go if you're playing your cards right.
I like how, by the way, you just threw Luca Kita under the bus. Totally.
Thank you.
It was Vlad Kibichev.
Oh, it was Vlad Kibichev as well. Sorry. You're absolutely right.
Oh, Luca Kita's going to get into the number 190 Urano Esports car that's at the front
Luca.
of the GT3 field. I got very, very scared there for a second when you said Luca Kita. I was like, what? Where's your race leader gone? And then I realized that we both make mistakes. And so fortunately,
Sorry, Luca.
Fortunately, that was one of them. At least we can control our laughter here today.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Well, that's because we can actually see what's happening on the screen because it's not requiring me to pull out my CSI Miami Zoom. But that's a topic for a different time. Of course, we'll see if any of our leaders come into the pit lane in the LMDHs. Again, I get the feeling the top three, generally, they are almost always at the best on the fuel, despite going the fastest. And it kind of goes into the just because you're going quickly. That was scary. Oh. That was really scary.
And that's really opened up the gap there between second and third position. But fortunately, everyone's still alive because we have seen up the top at, how are we saying it, Lewis?
Slivak.
Slivak. Just want to make sure that I'm saying it as wrong as you are.
Thank you.
LMDHs in particular, you are so committed as you rise over the crest there. That could have been a whole lot worse, but as we see the cloud cover come in once more, it's only RD SimSport that have dived their way onto pit lane. We do, like you say, tend to see these drivers up towards the front trying to extend the margin as long as possible, but I don't think we're going to see too many differing strategies between the three.
No, yeah, what I was going to say by that is it's not normally like speed and efficiency. You can go very quickly and be very, very efficient. And I've kind of said this before, is that sometimes, and I'm sure we've all kind of found it when we're doing endurance races and stuff, when you start like fuel saving, right, sometimes, you know, lift and coast and all that kind of stuff, sometimes you go faster. And you think, how's that possible? Because you're being more efficient with the road. You're actually thinking about what is the actual fastest way to get around. And when you're lifting and coasting, you're actually kind of like thinking a lot about how all of that works. Did say that the RD SimSport car had come into the pit lane. That is the one that's being lapped here by the number one car of those hybrids. So and Satellite coming to the pit lane. Okay. Ooh.
And so does Christian Hildegard get out? No, he's going to stay on in. And I believe that means Kevin Birrell will be taking over in the second sequence of pit stops for them. Marcus Solholm is going to stay out as well, but let's not forget he did have to come in for a fast repair after the opening lap of the race. He was off at turn one after some contact through that opening corner. Satellite Racing going to drop down to 7th position, at least momentarily, as we wait to see if after 33 full laps these drivers come on in. And the other thing to remember, if you're trying to keep in mind some of the stint lengths for these drivers, they had a full formation lap to work through as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this stint would theoretically be the shorter of them because they've had to burn that little bit extra fuel running through the start of the race. I did, by the way, just see, going into Shivak as we were cutting away, the RD SimSport car did get involved in a little bit of an incident. Thankfully for Hoffman, was not actually involved in it, but again, lap traffic. It's causing problems for some of those lower down in the LMDHs. It's not actually caused many problems for the top three thus far in the race. That doesn't mean that it will not. So let's take a look at this one, right in the middle of the road coming into Shivak.
And it's, again, it's just the disparity between the prototypes with the downforce and the GT3s with the lack of it. The GT3 stands on the brakes. The LMDH wants to roll its momentum into the corner, and two cannot come into one. And loss of, it seemed like, rear wing there for Stan Motor, the number 18 with Jonathan Delaforge behind the wheel. It's really closed back up, though, as they close on the GT3 leader. Sam Coiter blocks the road for Matt Farrow. Jaden Munoz back within half a second of his teammate.
Yeah, exactly, and Sam Coiter's just getting on with what he's doing, not staying out of the way, just driving the line, and like I say, it's actually kind of dragging back in Hoffman after that, after some of the earlier issues. So that's a good sign that we're definitely going to see the top three here very much involved in the fight. For Sam Coiter, I mean, the gap is ridiculous, 7.2 seconds
in 45 minutes.
I'm trying to think of the last time we saw a display in the BMW M SIM Cup, at least thus far, this dominant.
You know who I think back to? Rainer Talvar Road Atlanta last year.
It was pretty impressive.
That's when he had a 5-second time penalty after Fildenez had done the opening hour, and he pulled away to ensure that BS competition, I wanted to make sure I got the right team right because, you know, they have so many different teams that race, came out on top. Other than that, though, I think you're correct. We haven't seen, specifically in the GT3s, something like this. Although, I will just point out, Diogo Pinto is now being dropped by his teammate Gianni Vecchio, and he's a full 10 seconds off of your race leader. Vecchio is trying to close the gap.
Yeah, exactly. But then, I mean, trying to close the gap, but in doing so, it's gone out by another half second. Yeah, Vecchio's obviously got the bit between his teeth. I mean, you've got to remember for these drivers back here, they've probably got about 14, 15 more minutes left to go in the race max, really. And yeah, obviously then they'll pass over to their teammates, and their teammates will see it to the checkered flag. So for a lot of these, it's kind of like, right, time to hammer in some quali laps. It's not a very long one round here. It was about a minute 30 in the GT3, slightly more than that. It's about a minute 30, 33, 34. You know, in those GT3s. So they've got a bit of time to work with, but still, you know, your laps are counting down as finally second place in the race goes into the pit lane.
I think that was Matt Farrow actually from the lead.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
Munoz and Hoffman that will actually come into the lane. Oh, stay out there, excuse me. But yes, one driver comes on in. Regardless, given that this is before about 50 minutes to go, we're still guaranteed the 2 stops up on the jacks, and Matt Farrow doesn't seem to hand over the keys to his number 11 over to Josh Ladd. And let's not forget how impressive these 2 drivers have been across of Road Atlanta competition. iRacing Petit Le Mans here in the BMW M SIM Cup as well. And they'll be looking, Lewis, to carry this momentum on forward heading into the first round of IMSA Esports later today.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do we know how many people, because no one's counted it, so it's fine, but are there quite a few on this grid that are doing IMSA later on this evening? I do have the intro list for IMSA in my little packet here that I've printed off, so I can take a look. But I wonder how many people are actually kind of doing this, because if I was doing IMSA this evening, I would actually not
do this. No. I got word that BS is not here specifically because of their want to focus on IMSA, and of course they are representing BMW both in the GTP and in the GTD class there, so they will be very much focusing their efforts there. I was very shocked, I will be honest, to see Dominic Hoffman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, obviously Hoffman and Lorenzo, they're both taking part. Although, isn't it Wallmeyer, isn't it?
Lorenzo is going to be, yes, stepping. Although, having said that, is it still actually... It is still Danny Lorenzo in that Urano car here in the BMW M SIM Cup. It's in IMSA where he steps aside and Jonas Wallmeyer gets the call up, so yes.
Correct. You know, obviously a couple of other drivers that are doing it. We know Gianni Vecchio, Ollie Steinbrat, and those are both doing this evening as well. There's a few. Luca Keeter, I've thrown him under the bus, might as well do so again. He's also doing this evening. That is actually, he's on the entry list, it's fine. I would say you're probably looking at 5 or 10 drivers on this grid that are doing both races. That is quite a lot of racing.
And preparation.
Although, thankfully, they probably won't prepare as much for this. This would be like, yeah, come on, do it. If we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. Cool. Maybe we win and we take an extra, bit of prize money home. But the real focus is on IMSA tonight.
That's a good point. Matt Farrow loses out even more in traffic out of turn number 1, and Jaden Munoz has now got a full 4-second lead over his teammate, courtesy of the pit stop cycle. It is partially aided, though, by a slight delta in terms of time in the lane itself. Look at this for Matt Farrow. It's a 28-second pit stop or so. Compare that to his teammate slightly further up the road. It's 24.8.
I've just been watching Munoz through Shivlak, through T8. Honestly, I don't know if it's what, but it's looking a bit ragged, if I'm perfectly honest. Got past on the traffic, Marcus Saholm coming through. Obviously just traffic and all that kind of stuff at this point. Fair enough. Different fuel loads, etc. It's why Marcus has pulled away rapidly at the moment. We're waiting for him to come into the pit lane, I believe. But for Munoz, it just looked a little messy the last few corners.
And what was a 4-second gap is now down to 1.5. How quickly the traffic sometimes can take away as well. But I think you're right that getting the tires maybe back up to temperature has been something interesting, and of course these GTP Michelin tires in general have been a hot button talking point across of both the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and the World Endurance Championship as well. There'll be a new spec tyre coming in, I believe, for 2025, with some of the learnings that the teams, as well as, of course, Michelin, have learned in operating these cars across the different weather conditions that they have to run through. Because let's not forget, Daytona at the start of the year can often be down in below freezing conditions in the night, and then you go to Watkins Glen in the heat of the summer and track temperatures can get up to 60 and 70 degrees Celsius. They have to very much take a pounding. Now, as Urano Esports are still out there on track, Lewis,
oh dear,
what are they trying?
I don't think they're getting to the point where they could do it once. I think it'll have to still be a splash and dash. But what is it with Urano in this car? We say it all the time. A lot of the time, they're not necessarily the fastest team per se, right? They may not be the fastest on track, but they always have the strategy. And do you know what? It looks like they might have the strategy again, because the lead is looking comfortable. When you consider some of the issues that we've kind of seen from Jaden Munoz, and now he's under a lot of pressure from his teammate, by the way, struggling to get the tyres up to temperature, maybe even for the fuel load once again. The two Williams cars are going to go for a little bit of battle here. This is just going to cost them time, and it might well hand the reins of the race over to Urano Esports.
This is, I think, potentially a bit of a boon, but ultimately it's still down to strategy and how long you'll sit in pit lane. The thing that I was noting is it's a pretty short transit down the lane, though, so your actual cost for doing a pit stop, Lewis, is not necessarily as high as it would be at some of the other tracks that we go to, where maybe there's a lower speed limit but also a longer lane itself, and maybe that's something to factor in as well when it comes into this call for Urano.
Look, there's two things around this circuit that are important to note. One, the pit lane's actually fairly quick, but also the pit lane exit, you take the inside line through T1, so you cut across the inside of the Tarzan, meaning again you don't actually lose as much time because you almost gain a little bit of it back just on that inside run. Urano coming to the pit lane now. I am just curious, for one, to see if there's whether there's going to be a driver swap, and I do not believe so. It's still Dom Hoffman behind the wheel, so which is, fair enough, whatever it is what it is. But where are they going to come out? Are they going to come out ahead or literally side by side with the Williams cars?
It's a longer pit stop, so for sure they're going to come out behind, and it's 30 seconds plus as they now drop and wait. So Hoffman stays in, but this is definitely the fact that Williams have taken a slightly shorter pit stop, recognizing that they will have maybe more equal pit stops across of their two stints. But quite curiously, it means that now, for Dominic Hoffman, 8.5 seconds the gap, and clean air to work with.
What's the percentage on switch they have to do the driver contribution for the car? Do you know? What's the maximum drive time?
That's a very good question. So
because the thing is, Dominic Hoffman stayed behind the wheel.
Right.
There's an hour and 5 minutes left to go. So really, this car kind of has to come back into the pit lane. I think it'll be a shorter stop still, because I think they've literally brimmed the tank. But that's odd.
So you have to work backwards to do the math here. I believe we have 90 laps estimated in this race. So
yes, we'll be down to 89, but yes.
Okay, let's work with 89 then. It will just make it a bit more accurate. So 89 divided by 2, that's half race distance. So 44.5. Yep. Take 44.5 and divide that by 4. Yes, I know, we're doing math here on the broadcast. 11 laps.
Yeah.
So let's say 12 laps. That is what your teammate has got to do, or each driver has got to do as their fair share. The way it works, just to, again, walk through that calculation, but without doing it with numbers. Take the number.
You could have just said 1/8.
Well, no, because this is the thing. It depends on how many drivers you have.
Right.
So I'm trying to make sure I explain it generally. So I think the way that you do this is you take the race distance divided by the number of drivers, take that and divide it by 4, and that's the fair share that you have to complete.
Interesting.
I think. Never trust me.
Okay, I mean, around here, as long as they're pitting, let's say 20 minutes left to go.
Easily 12 laps.
Then that'll be fine.
Ooh! Oh!
That will be less fine. That will be less fine.
Oh,
that was
goodness. Scary. Oh, Lewis, my heart just jumped into my throat.
Yeah, I was watching that on board in game as well. That's Touch and go. Let's put it that way. That was very scary. Just didn't know which way to go. Again, the 71's doing the right thing. It's staying on the racing line. So, no real issues for what Gianni Vecchio was pulling off there. Just a very, very scary moment. This is what I mean about how awkward this bit is.
I mean, where do you even... This is, I guess, the right way to actually do it in reality, right? The GT3 car probably can't have the inside and hold the tight line, allowing the LMDH to go around the outside. It has to allow the LMDH room up the inside, but... Oh, that was almost Gianni Vecchio taken out from this race. It was very easy to tell which of the red line cars it was, though, Lewis, because one of them has a livery on it. Exactly.
Yeah, even though, I don't know, I've been commentating obviously on Redline elsewhere in sim racing, and there's been some slight changes to the livery, i.e., from what I've seen, at least, again over here, they've removed the, it's not changed to this, by the way.
No, it's not, yes.
They've removed, the dark blue, which I said, as soon as I saw it, I didn't like it. They've changed the dark blue and they've moved it to more of a charcoal grey, which is kind of, obviously, a little bit further back to how it used to be when it was black and red. And I said I didn't like it because I actually really, really like this dark blue and red. I think it's a great colour combination. But they changed it to charcoal grey, fair enough. Obviously, it's not the biggest thing that's happened behind the scenes of Team Redline this week, though. That being the partnership now finally coming through that was it? How's it go? They're teaming up with Red Bull Racing. Was like. They're taking that on.
They are running the program effectively for Oracle Red Bull Racing Sim Racing, as they have now been rebranded. It's no longer Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports, correct?
Something like that, yes. But it does mean they get drivers like
Sebastian
Job, Freddie Rasmussen, etc. Like, it's
Cooper Webster, of course.
It's big for Team Redline. Yeah, exactly. Cooper Webster, runner-up in the GB4 Championship of 2023. Just saying.
I was throwing you there to make sure you could slip that one in, of course. But
of course,
it's going to be interesting. Redline take over management of the F1 sim racing side of things for the Red Bull Racing esports crew, and it, of course, like you say, means that now potentially there's collaboration in some of the World Championships. Diogo Pinto, Sebastian Job are both World Champions. What can they do maybe working together? That will be an interesting storyline. Even if they're running in different cars, the collaboration, the improvement of speed, the process improvements, and of course for you, Lewis, on Thursday and Fridays, the opportunity and the possibility that there could be direct team-ups in the near future.
Yeah, but then there's the other thing of does this cause a divide within the team? I've been a part of teams where there have been. This isn't sort of a merger, but it almost is a merger. It's kind of it's a lot more complicated than that. But when you have a sort of merger, you have a contingent come from one group, and then you've obviously got the contingent that were already there in the first place, and this can cause a divide if it's not handled correctly. I'm not saying Team Redline aren't going to handle it correctly, because obviously they're one of the best teams in the entire sim racing, if not the best team. They know how to handle this kind of stuff, as we'll see Drago Racing trying to get past Apex here as we make our way through 9 and 10, and then on this little stretch down towards 11 and 12 at the chicane. There might be a move here.
I think with traffic, it could potentially have opened the door for Akira Wolf to slide past Jimmy Antunes, one of the drivers that's gone from that Apex Racing Academy to the main Apex Racing team over the course of 2023, and a story that we've watched here in the BMW M SIM Cup. They have the 197 Marcus Solholm driven prototype working up the inside as well as they fly through the banking. He kicks up a bit of the grass and now feeds a bit of draft to his teammate as well. This is where different classes, but sometimes the sister cars can work together. Yeah,
just a little bit of assistance, maybe make things a little bit more awkward in traffic for the rivals. Yeah, if you've got teammates nearby. As well, I was kind of thinking whenever those two Williams esports cars in the LMDHs come near the Urano GT3, might make things a little more awkward, but no, alas, on this occasion, absolutely fine. I've got to say, with the Drago Racing car in that GT3 category, love the rims. Love the rims. I like myself a little bit of red, reddy pink. Look at that.
This is something.
It looks ridiculous. I love it.
Well, there is somewhat of a school of a train of thought where rims should either be bog standard colors, or there are a few other colors that are allowed. Gold, for example,
no.
Excuse me, Subaru blue and gold wheels.
Okay, no. So there are specific,
yes,
very
exactly.
specific cases where you can change the color of your wheels. very specific.
That's what, yes, exactly. I agree. This is maybe disgusting in some ways, but it works.
Do you know why it works?
Because it matches the car itself?
Because the car has 2 colours on it. It is grey and
Yes.
it is pink, and that's it. Yes, you've got white lettering, you've got a bit of black on it, but because it's a 2-tone car, you can get away with sticking whatever the second tone is. Either one of those tones would work on the wheels. I know it's because as a car in GB4 I was talking about a second ago, which is called Dylan Hopton Racing, and in that, again, it's quite a similar ethos. It's like grey and pink, and they've got pink rims, and it works, as we can see into the pit lane. We've got the Apex Racing Team car, but you can't just slap pink wheels on, say, for example, like the Urano. You could maybe get away with red, but I think there's too much white on the Urano that it actually wouldn't work in that case. You've got to be very specific and very purposeful to do it and get away with it. Otherwise, we criticise.
I think we have seen some Urano experiments with coloured wheels on occasions.
They look better black.
Yeah, no, I think it just looks good as it is, and
Also, if they were red, there'd be too much red, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, well, it also depends what type of red.
Yeah.
This is when you start adding in these extra elements, it just ends up being a lot. So let's strip it back. Let's keep it simple. I say as the person with how many different colors on the Artifact Racing livery?
Yeah, but it works. It works.
We didn't have colored rims as well. That's the thing.
Did you say you do have colour?
No, we didn't. We didn't.
We didn't. Yeah, no. Because the thing is, like the other thing as well as to why it works in a Drago racing car is because the grey is the primary colour and the pink's the highlight. So the highlight actually works in that sense. In this, the red's the primary colour, and so you can't make the primary colour the colour of the rims. It doesn't work. And when you've got a lot of colours in the car, it's the same as like the whole. You should only have the rule of 3. You know, you should only have 3 colours on your car.
Yes.
With specific exceptions like white and black. You can kind of get away with those, but realistically, it's 3. But there are very specific times, and as long as it is done well, where you can break that rule and stick a 4th and even a 5th colour on, and that's where I think, like, Max Iru with Bryce, where he actually got it spot on, was that he was able to stick 5 or even 6 colours onto a car, and it would still look right.
Like the Artifact livery.
I just love talking about Artifact.
I mean,
what is it?
It's just because that, again, you talk about the number of different colours. I kind of did go to him with the brief of, let's make it as crazy as possible. People in the iRacing Esports Network chat, I don't think appreciate how much the teams actually do end up taking on our advice when it comes to these liveries. Just so you are aware, we have had our impact in changing liveries and making subtle adjustments here and there. Although we probably shouldn't talk too much about them because it's mostly just to help us not be dumb commentators. Out of pit lane, Diogo Pinto hands over to Chris Lullum. Alexander Walters is going to take on over from Kira Wolf in the Drago racing car, and Maxence Godino has already taken over, of course, from Jimmy Antunes. And once again, the overcuts worked quite well for the likes of Drago and for Redline as they both emerge in front of that 99 already with its tyres up to temperature.
Yeah, exactly. When you're fresh out of pit lane, sometimes it can take you a few corners to get up to temperature and speed, which unfortunately for you, like one of the first corners you come across when you're on slightly cooler tyres is Shivlak, and that's not really where you want to go through, particularly with a cooler rear end. It's why I think if we actually had the old rule, the significantly better rule, just saying, where tyres and fuel were done at different times in the pit stop, so that you were encouraged to take 2 or 4 tyres. Around here, I'd be for every single day of the week, because I think 2 tyres around here going into somewhere like Shivlak, the chance of you going off the road on that first or second lap, unreal how high that is, because the balance of the car is all over the place.
And that, I think, might just be the tyres as Drago Racing run a bit wide, and Godino up the inside instantly, not even a qualm of hesitation there, and he'll try and close the margin, you'd have to assume, on Lullum, which is now up to 4.5 seconds. Once again, the overcut just works quite well in this configuration that we seem to have and the conditions that the drivers are running as well. So it's Luca Kita not crashing the Urano LMDH, but taking over in the Urano 190 that will lead. And as Ollie Steinbraten takes over from Gianni Vecchio, that gap between first and second on pit exit around 8.5 seconds. Now we get to see if it was all Luca Kita, if it was all the Urano car just pulling away early doors, or if it was Sam Coytett being very special with the driving that he was showing us.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a very much a driver-specific circuit. So for Sam Coytett, I'm pretty sure he's very happy with the stint. Like I say, all of those questions that we were kind of throwing at him, is it because they're not saving fuel? Is it because they're not saving time? No, it's just because they're that much quicker. Obviously, for some of it could be preparation. As to other people's attention being pushed more towards IMSA, as we've all said about a little bit, and they've maybe not applied the same kind of process here. But still, you got to give a massive round of applause. That was an excellent opening stint from Sam Coytett, and hopefully Luca Keating can back it up. Which, to be fair, I mean he's a pretty quick driver, so yeah, probably.
I just realised as well, this is Sam Coytett's home race, isn't it?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure he's a Dutchman, and so. Flying the Orange Army proud here. Speaking of the Orange Army, there's no Max Verstappen in today's race, but I was just poking through social media on my phone, and the What's Cooking Racing Adventures team have been keeping a close eye on all the action that's been happening today. And we don't get to see Gianni Vecchio's wonderful helmet behind the car, at least the one that he's using behind the scenes. But he's made sure, Lewis, that Max Verstappen's here in spirit. His helmet is basically a picture of Mr. Max's face.
Goodness me. Well, that would be a horrifying sight.
It is pretty warped, I'll say that. Yeah,
no, I'm sure it would be. To be fair, though, I think, like, helmet design, obviously, so I come, when I started from the world of sim racing, I was more into open wheelers and stuff. And in that, like, your helmet design is kind of like...
Your identity.
It's a big focus. Yeah, exactly. I don't see... Like that, even on iRacing, like even in the open wheelers, I don't see people putting that much effort into their helmets, and that's mostly because the template is jank.
Yes, very.
But it's kind of one of those things that I'd really like to see people really pushing their helmets again, like just to get that helmet design back up, because I love seeing a well-designed helmet.
I'm just trying to think what the most intricate helmet that I've ever seen on the sim. There are only a few people that actually will work on helmets, as that was Jaden Munoz making contact with traffic once more. Matt Farrow up the inside will challenge for the lead, and once again into Hans Ernst. It swaps around, and the 11 takes the point once again.
Yeah, and they pulled out to a 12-second lead over Dom Hoffman. Now it comes down to about 9 and a bit seconds, so Hoffman's pulling it back in a little bit as they work their way through some of the red line traffic and such. Obviously comfortably behind our race leader in the GT3s. You can see this battle being quite close. You can see on the right-hand side that is on board with Hoffman, and the gap between him and the top two is quite large. And to be fair, concerningly large, considering it was very short before the Williams came into the pit stop. Then they extended it. Maybe this is playing the long game. Maybe this is going to come back to them in that final stint. I don't know. But, yeah, that was definitely a breach track limits, by the way.
I was talking with one of a race director who is also a commentator this past week, and we were talking about the two different schools of thought when it comes to track limits. There's the cut and dry, white line is the limit of the track, which is, for the most part, the bog standard FIA interpretation of the rule. And then there are the ones where it's more open to interpretation, and it's always a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, on the method, like, track limits is kind of a bit more, there's a lot more that you could do with track limits than people think. Because obviously you've got, like, what is the defining boundary of the track limit, right? Is it the curb? Is it the white line? Etc. For me, I've always kind of been like, it's the curb. But then, what do you count as a defining track limit from the car's perspective? Is it the inside tyre or the outside? And the reason why I say it is because if you count the curb, the curb is the end of the track limit. Is it about where your inside tyre is comparatively to that, or the outside? And I know on the MSV rules, obviously what I've been dealing with a lot in real life, it's about your outside tyre. So your outside tyre could go up to the edge of the curb, but no further than, meaning that you can't just be, oh, well, I had two wheels on the curb, that technically counts as track. No. Your outside wheels have to be within track limits at all times. And I don't know, I quite like that.
Oh, track limits discussion.
Let's talk about Formula One's track limits.
Oh, no, let's not. Let's put people to sleep. Live on the iRacing Esports Network. We're heading into the final 50 minutes, though, which does mean, hypothetically, from this point, LMDHs could pit and make it to the end, albeit with some fuel saving. And it's still with the slight discrepancy at the front where we're Still a little bit curious as to the strategy call from Urano. I'm going to see. I'm going to throw a message over to the Urano Esport camp and see what the word is.
You going to get a T-shirt from them?
Yes, please. If Seb Schmalenbach is listening, I will always take a T-shirt. But yeah, let's see what the crack is on the strategy here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some interesting bit. I don't know. I think they've let this one slip through their fingers, and I say that as if like I think they were very much in contention for the win. I still think Williams were the ones that were they had both hands on it. Basically, they've got 2 cars up there. I'm very concerned, but that's from the outside looking in. Towards Urano. Maybe from the inside, they're sitting there being like, yeah, we've already won it. We've already got this. Because our next stop is going to be 20 seconds shorter. I don't think it will be, but to be fair, I think that Dominic Hoffman is running a much heavier tank at the moment than the Williams Esports cars that obviously had a much shorter stop. So I just don't know how that's going to play out over the next portion. But hopefully we'll find out in about 20 minutes' time.
I think 20 minutes is probably a good estimation as to when we'll get a sense for what's going to happen. I think we're pretty set, at least for the time being, when it comes to podium spots in your GT3 class, especially given that Luca Kita's continuing to open up the gap once again to the red line contingent behind. There's the track conditions.
Day.
You wanted it to be a bit more windy, Lewis. You've got your wish. It's up to 23 now.
Yeah, but that's still nothing. Still nothing.
You want sand blowing across the circuit. I get it.
When I was at Zandvoort on the Friday, we had to walk from the circuit up towards the BMW office, which is actually like kind of just as you come into the circuit. Basically, it's in a dead straight line from where we were looking there. And we were going up there because I got offered a tea with milk as well. I was like, all right, off we go.
The Brit in you came out.
Yeah, I'm like, absolutely. I'm not going to turn down a cup of tea. Thanks to Felix Van Del for that one. And a little ride around the BMW. We'll talk about that another time. It's fun. And as we were walking up, genuinely, it felt like I was walking with a parachute. Constant. Like, it was really hard work to walk anyway. And it was wet. Really, really, really wet to the point where it was quite literally raining sideways. We've not got that in the sim just yet, but hopefully, fingers crossed, fairly soon.
Oh, yeah, iRacing releasing their development update just a couple of days ago, talking about the new rain system Tempest, which is coming, and the gradual rollout that we should all expect. I will be honest, Lewis, I think I'm somewhat glad that we don't have to look forward to Daytona next year being the first race with rain, because it's going to be the first race where we have all 4 of the GTPs at Daytona instead. And I want that to be as crazy as it could be anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that, like, you don't want too many new things in one race, because otherwise it makes things like you don't have enough time to like breathe and focus on the new thing. So there is that. But also at the same time, I still maintain it would be really funny if they just stuck rain tyres in, as they kind of did. We're not going to talk about that. Just left rain tyres open as an option. And then just turned on rain randomly at one point when no one's really ready for it. Something like the really horrible human being inside me just really wants that to be the case, just because I think that would be very funny.
And we're doing it today in the IMSA. No, we're not. I just...
could you imagine? Could you imagine?
That would be incredible. The scenes, the chaos that would be thrown up for the drivers.
I'm sure they'd complain.
It's not like... There's been no complaint so far, Lewis.
Has there not?
Everyone's happy. Everyone's
happy.
It.
That, I've been in sim racing, is a lie.
It is a bold-faced lie as well.
No, it's fine. Look, the last couple of weeks I've seen a lot more positivity in the world of sim racing, mostly because...
I've been off social media. Yes, I agree. I've seen a lot more positivity.
Yeah, exactly. I've been playing golf.
That's not bad. That's really not bad.
Exactly.
It was. I mean, Lewis, you of course you've been seeing a lot of this in the real world with GB3, GB4, and the crossover of real and virtual, and Cooper Webster, Lucas Blakely. I can go on and on with a couple more of these names, Alex Dunn, etc., etc. But this past week, I was part of the Prodigy Week, and some sim racers getting their first shot back in a real car. And it feels quite fitting in a year where, the Gran Turismo movie has come out, that finally there seems like there's a real achievable pipeline for drivers to go from sim racing to real racing, maybe.
To be honest, I thought you were going to start being like, you've been to GB3 a lot. How much golf have you played in GB3? But no, it's fine. No, it's fine. We'll go down the actual on-topic route. That's okay. No, of course, it's kind of one of those things of like, we see this as a pipeline that you can kind of do both. There are transferable skills, which is obviously there. We've been through it 1,000 times. We know what ones aren't transferable. For example, like the way you deal with G-force. There are things that are transferable. The way you actually race in sim racing. A lot of the drivers that I've spoken to, that in the off season they take part in a lot of sim racing because it keeps the rust off. Because you still have to race. You still have to apply that racing mindset, which is great. But we are starting to see, like I say, a few drivers at least given the opportunity, not necessarily to race in real life. That those opportunities are still very few and far between, and are still, I'd say there's more now than there were, but it's still like percentage-wise, they're still very, very rare, which is fine. Not everyone can race a race car. That's what makes it so special. But we're seeing a lot more opportunities where there are competitions where people can at least come along and kind of they're given the opportunity to drive a car quickly around a track, whether it is an actual race car, even if it's just like a modified road car and you get to throw it around. Like those are prizes in competition, which is very cool. For some of them, there's like proper competitions and stuff like what we've seen with Racing Prodigy. There's a lot of that kind of stuff, which I think is very, very cool. And here's a driver that can do both, race in real life and in sim racing. It's Agustin Canapino.
I mean, Agustin Canapino, someone that I first learned off through the sim racing world as a Williams esports driver, and in the recent year or so has become...
I've done it for longer then.
You've got
Just
to.
saying.
American open wheel star, of course, now part of the Hunkos Hollinger Racing camp. He takes over from Jaden Munoz and at a quite intriguing time of the race. I've just heard from the Urano esports camp that they aren't concerned about the fact that they still have to do their driver change. They don't think it's going to cost them. They've also factored in, Lewis, just how much of an impact traffic is having at this race. It is by far, even with a smaller field that we may have, the most impactful that it's been for quite a while.
Well, we'll see where they end up. By the way, I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to Agustin Canapino. I first knew Agustin Canapino when he was racing with Oscar Hardwick and stuff. We were racing on some league in some McGanns 10 years ago. That's how long I've known Agustin Canapino.
Wow.
That's a long time now. That's making me feel old.
And he
was racing stuff in South America back then as well.
He's a 14-time touring car champion in South America or something like that.
Yeah. No, it was shown around once. He had a crash in 2012. It was really bad crash.
Oh, yes.
And that got shown around. Everyone was like, oh my God, I can't even believe he's still alive. I was like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm like, oh, cool. Nice guy, good racer, of course, both in sim and in real life. So shout out to him. But yes, will they get beaten today by Urano? If they're factoring in the traffic, they're factoring the gap, they're factoring the fuel, they're factoring in the fact they've still got to do their driver swap. I'm sure they're well aware as to where they stand in the race, but is that them being like, we know we're running in third? Or is that, we're happy with where we are at the moment. Yeah, we're going to be battling for the win.
I think it's quiet confidence right now. I think it's
so.
Quiet confidence, especially knowing that for Urano, they've not qualified that well often in the BMW M SIM Cup. It's been their race strategy and performances that have seen them climb their way forward. So we'll keep an eye on the number 90 and Hoffman, 13 seconds back from Matt Farrow. Good point as well when it comes to Canapino that he's part of Williams Esports, but my teammate Adam Blocker is going to be working with Agustin as his performance engineer next year in IndyCar competition. And they've been actually, Lewis, jumping into the sim together, driving a little bit, including in these LMDH cars, working together. And I think it's a really, really valuable thing because it's not often that someone can drive the same car as what their driver is driving, learn their feedback, and then actually translate what they're saying into what they want to change.
Exactly. You could say one of them is IndyCar and the other one is OutDCar.
Oh my God! How do I get Lewis out of this broadcast booth?
I'm so sorry. But no, it's interesting. I mean, it's one of those things where, like sim racing, the longer we go in sim racing, the more there is that sort of that nature where it's going to be used in motorsport to the point where it's actually kind of like it's really accessible, and so that you can get the engineers to kind of understand a little bit more about what's going on. And also there is this whole thing of like motorsport for years kind of like looked down on sim racing a little bit as if like, yeah, you're kind of nothing. Like, fair enough. And that has very much changed, particularly the last 3 years, 4 years really. Goodness me, 4 years. Woo. Wow. Yes, it's very much changed the last sort of half decade, and that's great because it means that we're getting that that sort of understanding of that respect for each other, and it means that they can motorsport teams are really okay with sticking their engineers or whatever, or the drivers into just an open commercial sim like what we have here, and they still learn stuff.
Yeah, even if it's not one-to-one, right? It's the learnings that are made that are important. And so, yes, it's that realization that you don't need to be at the $1 million simulator at the BMW headquarters. As much fun as it looked like from Jimmy Broadbent's video. I'm jealous, Timo, if you're listening, that I haven't got my invite either yet. Lewis, do you want to go too?
I would love to. By the way, speaking of that, you're saying at Cooper Webster, I remember when we went racing at Brands Hatch in September, and I don't think he'd ever driven the Grand Prix layout of Brands Hatch.
What?
In real life. He'd done it on sim, yeah, but
Good.
he'd never driven because the testing and stuff, because Brands Hatch is very awkward with the regulations and stuff around the circuit because of curfews and such. So he'd never driven the Grand Prix circuit in real life. So he practiced on the sim.
Interesting.
That's where he did all his preparation. By the way, I think, didn't Williams have a much longer stop than what Urano's initial stop was? This could actually work out quite well for Urano.
Yes, I was just noting as well that the fact that the Ladd is in front of Canapino, Ladd, of course, taking over the reins from Matt Farrow in that number 11. Again, slightly shorter stop after, of course, the number 11 had the longer stop in the first sequence of the race. The margin is about 47 seconds. The total pit stop time for Dominic Hoffman last time, 50.2. Now, you lose a little bit of time on pit lane entry because there's a chicane that you have to wiggle your way through. You maybe gain some on exit because it's a shorter distance, even though the cars coming through turn one have more speed. This is still neck and neck right now.
But do you remember what the Williams... Because obviously, for Hoffman, he's just done he's already done the 50-second stop. What was Williams' original one?
Wasn't it like 25, 27?
I thought it was in the 30s, right? But my point being is that the Urano have already done their longer stop.
Right.
They've already lost that time. And if their stop here is short, then they may actually come out either right with Williams or maybe even ahead.
Well, this is where my confusion is, because I'm pretty sure that a driver change is going to cost you 30 seconds
30 seconds,
regardless.
yeah.
So it's going to be a 30-second pit stop for Urano no matter what. I'm going to go back. I am going to go back and see if I can figure out what the pit stop time was in the first sequence for Williams, because you could be right that it was over 30 seconds, but Matt Farrow 27.8. That would have meant Jaden Munoz was closer to the 25.8 second bracket, wasn't it? Because he was almost 3 seconds quicker. So very curious indeed.
Well, there are interesting strategies afoot regardless, and if Dom Hoffman wants, we know with how far he went in the first stint, that this car can effectively go for about another 15 minutes. We said you need about 20 minutes, slightly less than, but let's say 20 minutes to be safe, to fulfill the driver contribution to the driving time required to not get disqualified from the race. So they've got to deal with that. But this car can go for another 15 minutes. They've got the fuel saving, they've got the numbers, and at the moment it does seem as though they have the pace. Last lap time was a 19.8. For Dom Hoffman. For Josh Ladd, it was a 21.0. Maybe this is where they pull the advantage out. The lower fuel now, if they've got the tyres.
They need a couple of quick laps. And again, we're not looking at the gap back to the 197. Marcus Solholm owes us a pit stop. It's just back to the Williams Esports pair. I think if the gap holds at about 50 seconds, that's going to be where they're neck and neck, and we'll have to keep an eye on the times. For Williams Esports, Josh Ladd, 121.2 last time by. So that was traffic impacted, all things considered. 119.852 though for Urano, who are very much rising up their tempo in a crucial phase of the race. Look at the left-hand side of the screen, and you can see the lap chart there for Hoffman. 2 119s in the recent laps, but he's been able to bring it down to the 120s overall.
Yeah, exactly. Like the percentage of lap times is nice and low. That's the important bit. You can see pretty consistent, which considering through the traffic, I say pretty consistent. I know you can see some big swings lap time wise. Obviously, like a 22.0 in there not too long ago. All that's traffic, and the thing is they will all be getting traffic to their own degree. And it's just about how they kind of see it. The fact that the Urano car's consistently kind of in the 20s and slightly below when you compare it to this car. I know this car's fresh out of the pit lane, but a 21.0, 21.2. Wonder what this lap time will be. That's quite a big gap between them on pace.
It is, and I'm just looking at the time as
3
well.
on 5.
Yeah, it's not boding well. That's another second loss. Maybe traffic again, but this is where you got to believe the traffic will give and the traffic will take, but there's still 34 minutes to go, and it can be stressful to be sitting in that spot. Let's focus in on GT3s for just a brief moment, because first, second, and third, as we were talking about, not really too much of a fight going on there, although the lead red line car, Ollie Steinbratton, closed in on by Chris Lullum, who has really been flying in that number 20 since taking over from Diogo Pinto. It's for fourth position, where Drago Racing and the Apex Racing team still find themselves running in lockstep.
Yeah, there's not much to separate these two at all, which is what we've grown to understand between them, which is great to see. I will say for Gianni Vecchio and Ollie Steinbratton, do you not think it's weird that they're not driving a BMW this evening? So they've got to learn. They've got a couple of hours to relearn a different car, and they do all drive differently. So that's a bit of stress. Maybe that's where Steinbratton might be dropping back into the clutches of Lullum, who, obviously with the disappointment yesterday, is probably flying at the moment, and also doesn't have the joy of jumping between cars. So there is that. But this is the battle for fourth at the moment. This is where our attention is. No one else is going to join this, because the next car's miles back. It's been a pretty serene and calm end, at least thus far. We've got half an hour left to go. I'm not sure how much is really going to happen, Arjuna, over the next half an hour.
No, I feel like most of it is just going to be if the gap between Urano and Williams opens up or not. It does seem as though Augustin Canapino may be a tad slower than Josh Ladd, which is not saying much, given that, of course, Ladd and Faro have been amongst the very quickest in the BMW M Hybrid V8 over the last 2 months or so, specifically, of course, at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, but have very much been on speed even here at, CM.com, Circuit Zandvoort now?
I don't know, mate. Circuit Zandvoort to me.
It keeps changing sponsorship names across the world. So.
Yeah, this is why you shouldn't put sponsorship names in your track name.
Yeah, but this is where they make their money.
Yeah, I know. No, I get it. But what was it? Was it the Simply Sausages Donington Park?
Was it really?
Yeah, I think
no.
that's what Top Gear played anyway. I think it ever really probably was. I mean, look, just keep them as they are. I get that you've got to get sponsorship and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, you're a football fan. Emirates Stadium.
Yeah, but it's different. It's different for stadiums. It is different for stadiums.
Is it? Why?
Because science. No, because it's not the Emirates something else stadium. It's not the Emirates Arsenal stadium. It's just the Emirates Stadium, right? And if it changes, yes, it's awkward. Fair enough. But let's say like the Etihad or whatever. There aren't too many where they are just called the place they are. Obviously, you get the Old Trafford or whatever. But even though Old Trafford, I'm sure, has its fair share of sponsorships and stuff, it's not called something Old Trafford. It's just called Old Trafford. And the same with like race circuits and stuff. You should just be called whatever it is.
So
right?
Here's what I'll say is that it's at least less confusing as the Apex Racing team come into pit lane, by the way, for the 197 LMDH car. And that was Urano as well. So we'll get back to this because this is important. This is maybe earlier than I was expecting, but with 30-odd minutes to go, it's Dominic Hoffman getting ready to step out after what's been an impressive opening 90 minutes. Let's find out what things will be like after the pit stop cycle's complete.
Yeah, he's come into his box, and I can tell you now that Josh Ladd is running around turn 10 and now on this little short shoot down where the DRS is open in Formula 1 as they come down towards the chicane. Like I say, I don't really know. Thankfully for the 90, the pit box is towards the end of pit lane, so it's not a very long run. Once they go past the green cones, they can turn the pit limiter off and then basically fire it into the braking zone for the inside of turn 1. Out onto the banking at Ari Lyondike comes the Urano Esports car, and we're already revving up to leaving the 90s. It's going to be close.
Remember, it's going to be the Urano car deposited to the inside of the exit of turn number 1, and it's not going to be as close as maybe we were thinking, but it will be within 1 odd seconds. And now with cold tires as well, Urano has got to fire things up quickly, and for Danny Lorenzo, he's got to get himself fired up. 2 GT3s to work their way on through as they run their way up towards ski flag. Whoa. And already some contact.
That was scary. Almost, very much picked the wrong side. That's a way to wake up. This could be big for Josh Ladd. He's going to try and go for the race lead straight away. They come down to the sheet black, send it down the inside. Way too fast for the Apex for that one. For Williams Esports, they're looking to take their second victory of the season, of course. One just at the previous round at Road Atlanta. Would like to win now and take more off of Urano. That was very scary.
And it's a leading GT3 car that they will, I think, cycle up the inside of. Bit wide there for Lorenzo as he's still trying to get those tyres up to temperature. Remember, it's cold track conditions as well. It will take a little bit longer for them to fire themselves up. These Michelin's not known for their cold weather performance sometimes as well. Fortunately, they will dispatch of that sole GT3 car before they fly their way onto the bank's final corner. But it's within 0.3 of a second. Canapino's lost ground. It's Urano versus Williams with 29 minutes to run.
There could be a move here into Tarzan. It's quite a quick opening corner though, and if it's misjudged by Josh Ladd, it could well be disaster. Good use of the hybrid and stuff like that though from the Urano car. So Lorenzo managing to hang on to the race lead. Just got a good drop of the corner, had decent straight line speed, maybe picked up a little bit of slipstream from the back mark. But this is where things get awkward as you're trying to navigate traffic and you've got your main rival directly on your tail.
Spooling up the hybrid as they power off though of the banking. They hold now, and this is crucial because it's not really a pass. Look how much of the track they just cut there. We saw, of course, Kimichev lose it on cold tires, but clearly once the air pressure has been built up, these setups have stabilized, they're able to run some of these more aggressive lines. But now that you've dealt with that opening lap, Lewis, you can settle into the rhythm. This is exactly what the 90 would want to see.
Exactly. Once that gap gets to around about 3/4 of a second, the thing that's the big issue for Josh Ladd is dirty air. Around here, it's horrific as Walmart drops down the order courtesy of the pit stop. But yeah, it's the dirty air around here. It's huge. Once you go around, Shivlak, turn 8, 9, 10, that whole section. Even here at the penultimate corner before you head onto the Ari Line Dyke, it's very, very tricky to kind of keep really close to the rear of the car. So I think now Josh Ladd, he had his couple of opportunities and boy did he give it a good go. Now he needs luck.
And he needs traffic, I think, to work in his favor as well. We'll keep an eye on this, but we'll keep an eye on the chats as well. If you're watching on RaceSpotTV on the iRacing Esports Network, feel free to pop some questions in as we build to the end of this race, the penultimate round of the BMW M SIM Cup for 2023, but also building, of course, to the first round of the IMSA Esports Michelin Global Championship kicking off in just a few hours' time. I see Vince Cusi has jumped in with his wet toast once again. I'm sure that's a delightful breakfast to enjoy as you watch the crazy racing that we'll see over the course of today. But to go back to the point that I was making about sponsorship just before the pit lane drama all happened, it's better to call it, for example, CM.com Circuit Zandvoort than to do what Newcastle did a few years ago and rename this. What was it? It went from St. James's Park to Sports Direct Arena back to St. James's Park. No, it would have been a lot simpler if you just called it Sports Direct Arena at St. James's Park or something.
Anything like that. I mean, yes. I mean, that's, to be fair, that's where I kind of have an issue anyway, because you're changing the name of the stadium. I understand, like, when sponsorship pull out.
Oh, I mean, that was just Mike Ashley, though. Let's be real. Yeah,
but it's just like when you have like a historic, stadium or whatever, or a circuit, don't change the name of it. Just don't. Some circuits you can kind of like understand, like for example Laguna Seca, because it's always been well known that there's been that sponsorship there, even though again I hate it. But then whenever I talk about it, I just say Laguna Seca. I don't say WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, whatever. I just say Laguna Seca. I say Road Atlanta. So
this is how you know that your paychecks aren't paid by the sponsors, apparently.
That's true. And if they do want to pay me some extra bonus money to start chugging it in, I'll look. I'm easily bought.
Oh, you better believe, Lewis, that today I'm going to call it Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta at every single opportunity I can. Out of the final corner, knowing who signs my checks.
That's true.
Satellite Racing of the Apex Racing team fighting for 4th position. And what a fight back this is from the Apex Racing team after being pushed off the road at the opening corner. Danny Shivy Shabo doesn't hang around and slides his way forward through Tarzan to first.
Yeah, certainly so. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We'll allow it. To the head of this battle.
Exactly.
Danny Shivy. No, good effort. Unfortunately, I was having a good chat with him obviously on Thursday. He missed in the Delara. Again, I always forget what that title's called.
Turn Racing Grand Prix Delara Grand Prix Championship?
Something like that.
Nailed it.
It's got turn in it, it's racing, it's got Grand Prix, and they were racing at the Red Bull Ring. He was going to race in it, and then got very ill very soon, like before the race. It was like 3 hours away, so when he had to pull out. Thankfully, I think he's okay now. At least he seems. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's also not doing that many laps, so maybe his preparation relatively limited for this event, and that's being played out in the way that the strategy has kind of cycled in as well. But that's the reality of even sim racing, right? Sometimes you are just not going to be in conditions to go racing, and that's a disappointment for Danny. Of course, another one of the drivers, we mentioned it with Jimmy Antunes, but has, of course, over the course of 2023, been promoted from the Apex Racing Academy to the Apex Racing team, which is exactly why Lewis McLeod wants to join the Apex Racing Academy.
But also because of the the pay. That's why I want to join it, so I can get loads of money.
Oh, I thought you just wanted the shirts. That's what.
No, it's all about those dollar bills from the Apex Racing team, right? Is that not true? It's not true. No, it's just it's banter. By the way, I do like that we can have this banter with teams.
Oh yes,
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyone who's salty that we don't banter with you,
you clearly are bantering with us in private enough. Yes.
Oh dear.
The thing is, we banter with the teams that we know that we can banter about without getting in trouble.
And sometimes when we know we can get in trouble.
Yes, and sometimes when we know we can get in trouble. But I let the two-time award winner and his big friends get away with that.
I do have friends apparently very high up in this industry, and that's the
only
only reason I win awards. Yes, thank you. Thanks. At least that the cat's out of the bag now. It's only taken 10 months.
I mean, 3 years, really.
That's true. That's true. So I just saw Josh Ladd get absolutely devastated by traffic a little bit. I would say devastated. He's fine.
Devastated. Yeah, I was going to say he's still on track, fortunately, but it's just that you say devastated. Almost got squeezed off on the outside of that long right-hand sweeper, which falls away on the left-hand side into gravel as well. Gap at the front's now growing to 4.5 seconds.
Yeah, indeed. It's now looking really, really strong for Urano. They're in the spot. They're in the position. They've put the work in. Dom Hoffman with an incredible start of the race. And again, it's where like every single time I want to doubt a Urano strategy, and they go, no. In fact, actually, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember which of the rounds of this I've missed. I missed last week at Road Atlanta, where, of course, or last week, however many years ago it was, because this calendar's so spread out. The last round, anyway, it was Williams that won. And then obviously round 5. I don't remember if I did round 5 when Apex won. Which would generally mean then that I've done... I think I've done pretty much every round where Urano... Every round that I've done, Urano have won.
Okay.
So maybe I need to sign for Urano.
I mean,
you want to start cashing my paycheck?
Yeah, have you got a shirt from Urano yet?
No.
Seb Schmalenbach, what are you doing?
Yeah, I could be your good luck charm.
I did want to just point out, by the way, the TPS Gentlemen's Club, the 111 has just come out of pit lane.
Ryan Callan behind the wheel, is he?
Exactly, yes.
Right, story time. No, I don't know if I can tell this on air, but I am going to anyway. So Ryan Callan. So TPS means Touring Pro Series, which Touring Pro Series used to be like one of the biggest leagues in sim racing, elsewhere in sim racing, well, obviously in touring car stuff, to the point where they had people like Florian Strauss, you might have heard of, obviously Bathurst champion, did GT Academy, that kind of stuff. A certain other driver won a championship with theirs, Stoffel Van Dorn, you might have heard of. So there's some big names. Rob Wiesenmuller, if you're well versed in the world of sim racing stuff as well. He obviously took part in TPS stuff. Ryan Callan though did ban me from TPS. I did get banned from TPS legitimately because we went racing in a different touring car league, and he did things like that, and I reported him for everything, and then he banned me from his league. I'm not salty about it. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, well, he's got around, and I think there was a GT3 car that did get tangled up in that as well, but the Still Rise number 5 took 8th place as a result of that. 20 minutes to go. Lewis has got his personal bugbears out there.
No, it's fine. I don't have a problem against Callan anymore. It's fine. It's fine.
No.
I used to have some very serious problems against him, but that was 8 years ago. It's fine.
It's okay now.
I'm not sorry about it.
Now Lewis is all positive, smiles, and there's no negative in your life, right? Nothing.
Something like that. No, it's fine. Big respect, Ryan. Actually, to be fair, I was watching some mates that were racing last night, and they were coming across all these people from like the Touring Pro Series days. So maybe they're all popping their heads back out into the sim racing world. So people from the old days of sim racing were coming back, were making a comeback. Maybe I should unretire from driving.
I mean, the Apex Racing Academy haven't approved your application yet, so I would say don't sign that unretirement letter just yet. I'll wait for them to give you the call up just before you commit. Off of the Hugenholtz, though, you see the different lines being taken once more. And Drago Racing really closing back up on that Apex Racing number 99. Again, Max Enskadino is the one behind the wheel now and has to cover a bit of a look to the inside from Alexander Walters. That's not a passing opportunity, my friend.
No, not to get anything done going into G-Vlac, you need to be alongside going into it. You can't dive it down the inside. We saw a bit of an attempt, obviously, from Josh Ladd earlier on in the race, when basically post-pit stop with the Urano car, as we see Movano making their way down the inside, then outside, then everywhere, and making a big old cluster of this. That's the big thing with those LMDHs. Once they get into that slow speed stuff, they become so heavy and so awkward that, it looks very silly. That's where you can get those really silly crashes, and they just look a bit embarrassing.
Yes. Who's that? Now, was that the 91 or the 90?
It was Wallmeyer.
Okay, it was Wallmeyer. Okay. And so he's just practicing his traffic aggression for this afternoon.
Exactly. How to fire it through the S's at high speed, bombing it. Getting those, mate. Honestly, tonight it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun, but it is going to be so much drama.
See,
I love multi-class stuff though, so fine.
This is the thing: 45 cars at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, 20 GTPs, 25 GTDs. It's the fact that there are so many prototypes that I think is probably the scariest thing. But let's cycle over to the replay, check in with Agustin Canapino in that second Williams Esports car, the Chill Blast 1, and across the nose of one of the Urano Esports GT3s. Literally,
that was an Esteban Ocon eat your heart out moment right there. Lost the rear end and nearly took himself out over the nose of someone else. Hopefully he wouldn't be screaming anything on the radio about that other guy. There might have been light contact there, but I think it was more just lighting up the rears, maybe. It's very hard to tell from it. You need to see from on board from the Urano car.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to dial up.
Queuing up the broadcast director, please.
Here we go.
Yeah, contact.
But
touche. No, he can get angry about that.
But you say can get angry. I will say the fact that they made contact meant that the LMDH came across the line into a GT3 car that was already there.
No, you need to see that again, because the typical line off the corner, you dip two wheels onto the curb on the exit on the high side. So Agustin Canapino is expecting that car to be there. So he's given a car width to where the car should be. This is the whole thing of like holding your race in line.
And sticking
to where you should be.
Okay, so you're talking about the GT. He was thinking the GT3 would be even wider than that.
Basically, that's where the racing line normally would be at that point. I would expect that GT3 to be higher than it was. Here is fine, but watch how it comes back off that top side, which is fine. But look at how low that GT3 was.
So what I will suggest is white lines. I know what you're saying, but maybe it's just...
It's even lower than the white line, though.
But he's not that much lower. But this is the thing. If I'm the car passing, I want to try and make sure I've given a car's width to the white line, not to the curb. I agree with what you're saying. Fundamentally, I see what you're saying with Canapino is expecting the car to be a bit wider. But because that corner has got so many different lines, and we know that some people like to try and V it back a little bit more aggressively and stomp onto the power, it's a dangerous thing to leave yourself vulnerable to being caught out. Fortunately, they've got a good 50-second gap behind them, so there's not going to be too much drama for them to worry about. There's not going to be drama for the lead either, it would seem, because Lewis, 7 seconds now splits Urano from Williams' Marla machine.
I still say it's more on the GT3, but that's fine. It's a tough one. But yes, no, absolutely.
We're not race control, fortunately.
Thankfully not. Because, to be fair, actually, I think we're building up for arguments after IMSA last season with me, you, and Ewan O'Leary and Indianapolis, and a certain Gianni Vecchio, and an incident. That caused quite the stir between the three of us.
Wait, are you talking Daytona or Indianapolis?
It was Indianapolis. It was definitely Indianapolis, because it was... you go through on the back stretch. You then go through the left, right.
Yes. No. So I was just trying to make sure you weren't talking about Gianni Vecchio at Daytona with Oscari Rini, which was when on pit lane they both came in together at Daytona. Gianni was in the fast lane on the very right-hand side of pit lane. Oscari was a little bit more on the left. Gianni tried to come into the box and ended up turning himself on the nose of Oscari.
did we have much of an argument about that one? I just remember us having some very large. Like I think the argument genuinely lasted about an hour after the broadcast about the Vecchio thing. Even when and it all reignited again the next day when Vecchio posted some things on social media. None of us agreed that he posted it on social media, but it did restart the argument a little bit between the three of us. So thanks, Ewan. You're wrong, by the way. Ewan, just saying.
Was he wrong and were you...
We were right.
Okay, yes.
We were right. We both agreed. Ewan was wrong.
I mean,
fundamentally wrong.
That is a fair assessment in general. Ewan is usually going to be wrong. He wants to repave Sebring. We've established that.
That's true. Disgusting opinion.
Throwing him under the bus when he cannot defend himself as well.
He doesn't think Sebring's very good. Anyway.
I mean, without the bumps, I agree. It's not very good without the bumps.
He's like, no, it's just not really a good track. No.
Kevin Burrell, who we've seen, nice northern accent there. Kevin Burrell, who we've seen racing in a couple of these BMW M SIM Cup races under the distinct GG label, has switched over to Satellite Racing and paired up with them for this number 64 today. And of course, we will see Satellite Racing in the IMSA Esports Global Championship, albeit not in a BMW, in the GTP class in just a few hours' time. Now, Lewis, this is a team that we maybe don't talk much about in BMW M SIM Cup days, but across the sim racing world, we've seen plenty of.
Yeah, I mean, look, Satellite's a great squad. Love seeing them. And, I've got along fairly well with Satellite, genuinely against another team that I've known for about 10 years.
Do you have a shirt?
I don't have a shirt. Matt Strand, please.
No, new team owner, Adam Crane.
Isn't it? Oh, well, fair enough. Adam Crane can have a shirt. Is Matt Strand still a part of the squad at all?
I believe he is, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Well, still, give me a T-shirt. But obviously, this is I remember, Satellite. They've had their rumblings even over the years of getting some people from sim racing and then getting them into certain motorsport stuff. I remember, was it Formula? I can't remember what it's called, the series. But Sven de Vries took part in that, courtesy of that. So who knows? As Ryan Callan drops another spot. Oh, it feels good to watch.
He's had a couple.
No, I'm joking.
He has had a couple of issues over the course of the day. He's battling with Movano Sim Racing and the number 72 car that works around. It's hard to tell if it's a Movano or a Redline car, but 72, Movano it would seem, squeaks its way on forward. Movano going to be paired up, of course, with CrowdStrike Racing in the IMSA Esports Global Championship for a second consecutive year. Fraser Williamson will be paired up with Timo Roorda, and it will be Sam Michaels and Scott Michaels. We talk about legacies in sim racing and satellite racing. I didn't realize that one of the Michaels actually worked for CrowdStrike, despite the fact that I've seen them in the world of sim racing for about 8 years at this point.
I don't know anything, but no. Obviously, again, great to see. Obviously, sim racing is a lot older than people think. I feel like this whole thing is like commentating on a lot of people when they're born in like 2000 and blip. Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
And they're like, it's just cool that sim racing's so new and so vibrant. I'm like, mate, sim racing's been a thing for 2 decades. What are you talking about?
I mean, look at Niels Naujoks.
Look at Gregor Hutu, although he doesn't race anymore.
You bring up Gregor Hutu, but that's actually really funny. I was talking to someone who owns one of the trackside garages at the Atlanta Motorsports Park. They weren't actually part of Racing Prodigy, the Prodigy Week thing that I was there for. He was just at the track and watching. And we were having a chat. He was talking about some of the commentary stuff, and so he asked me, do you know Gregor Hutu? I said, yeah, I know Gregor Hutu. He asked, what's Gregor doing? And I mentioned what Gregor's doing, works behind the scenes, building some sim stuff as well. Still very much involved in the world, but doesn't race. And so this guy was telling me, he owns a Praga R1. He owns a bunch of different really cool cars that are there at the Atlanta Motorsports Park. But he used to run leagues back in the day of Grand Prix Legends. Lewis, can you imagine running leagues back in the day of Grand Prix Legends and dial-up internet?
Oh, well, see, I mean, you said, obviously I wasn't around at sim racing when that was the case, but yeah, no, I've, like, my housemate used to race back then. When you had to deal with all that kind of stuff, even, like, in the online side of racing, I really kind of took off quite a lot in the mid-2000s, but still you had like plenty before it, and it was all very awkward. Let's put it that way. It's not as, we have no idea how good you have it now, people. It's so much better now than it used to be.
Yes, it is. It's quite remarkable as well. Niels Naujoks, we mentioned his name. He was competing the very first time that ESL was part of sim racing, going on 20 years ago.
Yeah,
he was part of it again for its return in 2023. And even Gregor Hutu, Hugo Luis, a lot of these big names are still behind the scenes and working and still involved in the industry. And
Because there's more jobs than just driving, Arjuna.
Yes, but you know what? No one really cares about anyone other than the drivers. As they should. Let's be honest. No one should care about us.
No, but it's true. But the thing is, like when you've like the whole thing of sim races, the same as in motorsport. When you retire from the world of motorsport, you generally, or at least for the most part, they move into roles behind the scenes, and that's not just like broadcast production. That's whether it's coaching or whether it's team managing or whatever, right? They jump behind the scenes. The same with every sport, because you're an expert in that field, right? To a certain degree. And you've been around it long enough that you understand how some things should run. And it's why if you see a lot of drivers from like 10 years ago, a lot of them have either moved into roles of team managers or even league owners, or even developing stuff behind the scenes for major games, or whatever. Like they've, or in our cases, retired to talk trash. The easiest of the other jobs that you can do in sim racing, to talk trash about people.
Well, the funniest thing as well is, and I mean this with great gratitude to everyone during Prodigy Week, and anyone who, in general, that sends us messages and says, it's really impressive what you guys do. I don't know how you can keep talking for so long, how you have all these ideas, energy, etc., etc. Because it is the easiest job in the world. Yes, we have to do our preparation and stuff, but once we get going, it's look at a screen, get excited, shout a little bit, and in the case of Gamers 8 earlier this year, shout so much that we got told to stop shouting so much. But yeah, we have it so easy. We really
it's true.
do.
It's true. I can sit on this broadcast and I can go and check my emails, which is exactly what I've done, because I've got an email from Alex Simpson.
About your application?
Yeah, I don't think it's not looking good.
Oh no!
But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, of course, it is easy to sit back and just chat. Obviously, hope everyone's enjoying, and then we can chat with them. Unfortunately, for this race, though, we've had to make a lot of stuff up because they've been spread. I'm not going to lie to you all sat at home. They've been spread out for quite a while. I've had a couple of very exciting bits, but it's been pretty dull at points.
As Daddy Shivy Shabo called it, the BMW M podcast, early afternoon show presented by Arjuna and Lewis. I mean, last year we had BMW M Sim Ignition, right, to kick off the BMW SIM Cup, as it was referred to back then. I get the sense that we're just going to clip this entire show and put it up on your favorite podcast platform here, and you can enjoy the various rumblings about liveries, and maybe even Ole Steinbratter getting taken out by one of the Urano LMDH cars. This does mean that Chris Lullum is now in drafting range, just 1.5 seconds back from his teammate.
Yeah, let's be honest though. If we actually did a proper podcast, no one isn't.
I mean, I would encourage people not to listen. Yes, exactly.
People are only here listening because there's a race on and they're more interested in this. They don't care what we're talking about here. And rightfully so. By the way, whilst this fight is getting pretty close, the fight for fourth is also pretty close because, as you can see, the gap ain't much between Alexander Walters and Max Godino in the Apex Racing Team car. So it's pretty tight back there as well. I saw there was a couple of looks going down into Shivlak, so ooh, getting a bit dramatic here.
And this is a reminder that we do have live race control for these races, with the stewards giving incident penalties that are applied post-race. The Augustin Canapino Urano incident has just been confirmed as a no further action, so
perfect.
Nothing going to happen there, nice and easy. And in general, even though we have had quite a bit that's happened, I don't actually think I've seen a penalty that's going to impact the results post-race just yet.
No, I've certainly we've not received anything from race control, which kind of makes sense. It's kind of one of the things around here is that as much as we've seen a lot of silly incidents, those that have had silly incidents are now far outside of the points, because if you have an incident, you're generally involved in it as well. Meaning that those inside the points, they've all kind of just driven around and kept their noses clean for the most part, because it's really hard to go for moves on people. I thought there was going to be something between Josh Ladd and Lorenzo a bit earlier on, but thankfully they got through that bit.
Yes, and as someone pointed out, the lords of the netcode smiled down on Urano with their moment off of this very corner with traffic, because that could have been a whole lot worse, and since then they have not looked back. It's now 12 full seconds to Josh Ladd. That Urano car very much pulling its way towards the front. Confirmation, by the way, that there's been no actual post-race penalties that will change the results with 5 minutes to go. But knock on wood, let's hope there's no commentator's curse. I know you don't believe in that, Lewis.
It doesn't exist.
But real-world commentators do believe in it.
Yeah, which I don't understand why.
Because it exists.
No, it doesn't. No, the thing is, here we go, commentator's curse. It's what's it called? See, I can't remember what it's called now. Where you like, if I say something about like, oh, Lorenzo's driving really well today, lad's driving really well today. Do you know what? Agustin Canapino's driving really well today. Agustin Canapino, confirmation bias, thank you. Agustin Canapino drops it into the barrier. Right? And suddenly it's like, you said Agustin Canapino was going really well and that's why he dropped it in the barrier. I was like, yeah, what about Josh Ladd and Daniel Alves Lorenzo? Oh, I said the same thing about them, but like they haven't binned it. Oh, that doesn't fit into the narrative, does it?
So
the commentator's curse is rubbish.
So what I will point, for the most part, I agree with you. But come on. ISO WC 2021, Road America.
Yeah, but we said positive things about everyone.
No, but it was the way...
It was Lorenzo as well.
It was Lorenzo, but that was not confirmation bias what happened there.
Of course it was. It's the whole thing of like, so Dane Baird, this is where he was like, oh yeah, but you can have broadcaster curse or whatever. I was like, right, okay, how do you do this? And he was like, sometimes we ride on board with someone and when we're on board with them, they then crash it. And I'm like, that's utter rubbish. Like, it's more crazy that you've been on board with someone when they've crashed. That's the wild bit.
No, it's not.
Like,
that's good production. That's a producer and a director knowing who to be on at the right time. But I agree. There's
no. They're going to crash.
They know when things are going to go wrong. They get a sneaking suspicion. But Road America in particular, Lewis, I was thinking of what happened to poor Isaac Morris, where he didn't throw it off the track by himself.
Yeah, he got hit by a landmine, which we haven't seen for a long time.
Yes.
But like, again, that is what it is. That's just bad luck. Like I say, there's no such thing as a commentator's curse. They're just bad luck and bad driving.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Viewers on the iRacing Esports Network.
No, because everyone believes in it. It's not true.
You're not listening to what I was saying. What I was going to say is come back in how many hours' time is it? About 4 hours' time.
Okay.
4 hours' time for the start of the IMSA Esports Michelin Global Championship. We'll ask Greg Creamer. We'll see what he thinks.
Yeah, but again, like, most people don't believe in it, so it's fine. Most people do believe in it. Sorry, that's what I meant.
But right now we have a split opinion. I don't believe in it, but I believe that there are cases where it occurs. You don't. Let's see what Greg thinks. Majority wins.
Do you remember that photograph that RaceSpot put up of all of them? They were in in Denmark. And they put up a post with like people who don't believe in the commentator's curse and people who do believe in the commentator's curse. And it was Dane, who did believe in it. It was Cam, who did believe in it. There was Hugo, who did believe in it. There was Iku, who did believe in it. And then there was me, who didn't believe in it. And then I put up a photograph of me holding both my Simi awards saying I didn't care.
Yes, the specific photos that you wanted to share couldn't be shared, but yes, you sent more friendly photos available to the rest of the crew. You only sent me that other photo just to remind me of my place. Exactly.
But no, I did put them in their place. That's the important bit still. Because I'm right and the majority is wrong or something. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing.
Dominic Engel has just pointed out, by the way, that Greg has moved on from being blamed for people binning it on their own to being blamed for when people... Yes, Greg steps out of the car itself to the broadcast booth. We'll be curious to get his thoughts on that. Other chats going on the iRacing Esports Network. Arjuna Kanki Party, it's Lewis McLeod alongside as we head on towards what will be a very final lap, I believe, of this penultimate round of the BMW M SIM Cup. But you will be tortured by the sound of our voices for the IMSA Esports Global Championship kicking off later today as well. Ultimately, Lewis, you and I, we've commentated on so many top-level endurance series. It's something about these LMDH and these GT3 cars that's really producing some exciting racing across of 2023.
Well, we're in the golden era of sports car racing, as it's been said. Obviously, with everything with the LMDHs, the hypercars, all that kind of stuff, like where we are, and to see the GTPs, all four of them out in action, it's going to be so much fun this evening. Obviously, you've got loads of GT3s as well. Obviously, you get to see the Ferrari out there. If you've not really seen the 296 racing too much, that'd be pretty cool. I think we're in for a great evening. I'm not going to lie. I think we're in for an evening of high entertainment. Last season was so much fun, but it was GTDs and touring cars, which was cool. But this is very different tonight, and we'll get a little taster here with the BMW M SIM Cup, and later on this evening we get the full treat.
And last year was, I feel, like an appetizer, right? Like you
Oh,
said,
yeah.
without the prototypes. We bring them in with the manufacturer support as well. Let's talk about the teams that will represent BMW in the LMDH very quickly. We'll have Apex, BMW M Team Redline, BMW M Team BS Competition, Urano Esports Data Group, and Williams Esports. BMW is going to be represented by the teams that we've seen dominating in this BMW M SIM Cup.
Yeah, and so realistically speaking, they should have quite an advantage coming into it. They're well versed with their car, and understanding how things go. Those that are taking on the Acura, the Cadillac, and the Porsche, I'm sure they've done their practice and stuff. They've done their homework. But these guys, they'll be as prepared as it can be.
And especially given that the car joined us almost now a full year ago in the GT3s, it will be Apex, Arnage, BS Turner, Mahler, and Pure Sims. 5 very strong teams of their own volition, but the strongest here today and making a strategy work that we thought maybe wasn't possible initially. It's a dominant performance at the end, 15 seconds clear. It's Danny Lorenzo, it's Dominic Hoffman, Urano on top once more in the penultimate round of the BMW M SIM Cup. It will be a while and a wait before we make it a double victory for Urano, as Luca Kita will come to the line in the GT3 class as well. Josh Ladd and Augustin Canapino grab second and third for Williams. It's a little different of a BMW M SIM Cup race, Lewis, than maybe we were used to, but nevertheless still very, very entertaining.
Yeah, very much the same result, because once again it is Urano on top. Of course, now eliminating an awful lot of drivers from the championship, as we've got only just one round left to go. Hey, they might have wrapped it up, actually.
That's a good shout, actually. We'll have to do the commentator's math. Here comes Luca Kita, though, to grab the victory for the 190. It all started with Sam Coitert's stellar stint, and maybe one of the strongest stints that we've ever seen in BMW esports history. Luca Kita backs it up, and it's going to be a full 14 seconds, Lewis, back to Team Redline and Ole Steinbraten.
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick look now. With Urano Esports in the LMDH category, I say wrapped it up. It could come down to a fastest lap, but between Lorenzo and Hoffman, they are, because obviously it's Drivers' Championship, those two are far enough now ahead of everyone else that it is just them two. So theoretically speaking, that car has already won the championship. It now comes down to the final round to see drivers-wise, and I also believe that is exactly the same case for Lulham, at least in... Lulham and Pinto in the GT3s. I believe that is the same case for them.
So Silly Lully, as I've been instructed to call him by his Redline teammates, might just have become a BMW M SIM Cup champion. It will all come down now to fastest laps, and if Diogo Pinto might be able to tie him going into that final round in Suzuka in just a couple of weeks' time. Let's run you down through the race results as the drivers return their way on towards the pit lane. I can confirm that no post-race penalties in what is surely a first in the BMW M SIM Cup, maybe a first in BMW esports as a whole. It's Urano and then Williams, 1, 2, and 3, but ultimately Lorenzo and Hoffman will be thrilled to have built up the buffer, 15 seconds clear on the alternate strategy. Josh Ladd and Matt Farrow continue their strong performances in the car to grab second in front of Canapino and Jaden Munoz, while Danny Shivy-Shabo caps off a strong recovery drive for the Apex Racing team, bringing them up to 4th. Final car on the lead lap was Jonas Wallmeyer in the second of the Urano contingent, while Satellite Racing dropped to 1 lap down, as do RD Simsport 2 laps down for Stillrise Esports Movano and the TPS Gentlemen's Club Pro. It was 11th position for the Total Sim Racing team, Team Red X as well, completing the race down in 12th, and then DNFs for the likes of Valorous Motorsports Movano and the TPS Gentlemen's Club number 6. On towards the GT3s, where it was Luca Kita and Sam Coitert building up that buffer and running away at the front. 13.5 seconds clear of Ole Steinbraten and Chris Lulham for the Redline contingent. Alexander Walters just in front of the Apex Racing team car in the closing stages after getting past Maxence Godino, while Nicholas Laubish and the Hardcore Red 183 driven by Leon Pisch 1 lap down, along with Team Red X Simsport, the Team Red X Academy car 2 laps down alongside the RMS BMW crew that we often see on Tuesday nights here on RaceSpotTV. Down in the 11th spot, it was also plenty of strong names as well. 11th went the way of Stan Motor, Infinity Fox, Purple Sector Motorsports, Scuderia, Bruschetti, Gasp Racing, and Iron Monkey all finishing, while BetterParts.de, iRacing, Team Zandvoort, and Team Alexander Walters not seeing the end of the race. I don't see anyone waiting for a bit of a post-race chat, unfortunately. It means that we're not going to get to catch up with the Urano pair, but I guess I'm not too surprised, Lewis, that their attention has already shifted to the remaining racing here today.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be bailing. I'd be getting myself ready for IMSA Esports later on, and I'm sure they're going to be showing themselves as quite the speedy groups. Those that are doing that later on, they need to prepare themselves. They need to get straight on that. I do want to talk one bit though. Fastest lap going with Daniel Alves Lorenzo. That is the first time that car has taken a fastest lap this season. Weirdly enough, despite having so many race victories, what that does mean is that Lorenzo has a 1 point lead as far as my numbers are going into the season finale over his teammate Hoffman, who would have to get the fastest lap to steal that one back, unless they decide to separate themselves slightly at the season finale and go in different cars.
Well, and it's interesting that you bring that up because we're only 2 weeks away from seeing that final race start to play itself out, and it brings us to a place with plenty of virtual BMW history. I think back to 2021, Josh Rogers and Max Verstappen tangling at turn 1 halfway through or so that first stint of the race, but ultimately it's going to be a rather similar race, Lewis, to what we've seen today, especially in terms of tyre and track and everything management.
Yeah, you've got to manage your tyres, you've got to manage your fuel, you've got to manage the traffic most of all. Going through the S section is going to be really tricky, going through the hairpin, going through Spoon, but you've also got some nice long straights as well to navigate them comfortably. I think that Casio Triangle though is going to cause its fair share of problems, both in class and out of.
And it all then will bring us to the end of what's been a long journey. Of course, we only started at the beginning of February rather than our traditional starting spot in January with these virtual BMW events. But since then, we've had some gaps here and there. It's a relentless November, Lewis, amidst what is a very busy period, of course, not just with the likes of IMSA Esports. You've been commentating on British Formula 4. So many top-level championships kicking off through a busy winter period for these teams and drivers.
Yep, the motorsport season is pretty much done, which means the sim racing season, well, it never ends. It never sleeps. It is always going, and it just turns itself up that little bit towards the end of the year. That's exactly where we're at. If you're a big sim racing fan, the next few months we've got a big few races, a big few championships, and it's all really starting here, isn't it?
It does indeed, and of course most of that action, at least here when it comes to our iRacing competitions, live and exclusively on the iRacing Esports Network. For now though, we bid you farewell. For our Junior Kanki Party and Lewis McClay, don't forget to join us in just a couple of hours time to kick off the 2023 IMSA Esports Michelin Global Championship, and 2 weeks from today we'll get underway with the final round of the BMW M SIM Cup from the land of the rising sun. What a first trip, though, to the Dutch June circuit. Zandvoort always delivers, and this time on the high banking. For Urano, it was double delight. We'll see you from Suzuka, but for now, so long and goodbye. Just one more round of the BMW M SIM Cup left to go.